Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto guards fleur chunin exams. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Jessica 1987 Lira and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Copied money. Date and time from MSGT Silverdollar and Snake as I enjoyed his stories and couldn't come up with something better myself. The following is a description of how I write various monies, languages, thoughts, dates, and times. This will not be repeated in later chapters. VARSCLTONGUE thoughts mind speak foreign language. 1 equals 1 galleon equals 17 equals 493, 1 equals 1, sickle equals 29, 1 equals 1, nut. 1 pound equals 1 British pound sterling, $1 equals 1 US dollar, 1 yen equals 1 Japanese yen. 1 equals 50 pounds equals $75 equals 260 yen. In the early 1990s gold in the UK went for just over £200 per ounce, so if a galleon contains ounces of gold 50 pounds is a fair value when converted to or from galleons. Temperature is in degrees Fahrenheit. Dates are in the form of day month year 2 May 1998, time is in the 24-hour format. 1300H equals 1 p.m. and 2000H is 8 p.m. A day begins at midnight and ends at 2400. All times, unless otherwise noted, are local times. Barry couldn't believe his horrible luck at this point. Well, he couldn't really say it was horrible, just annoying at this point. The war had been over for about 3 months and everyone was working on moving on, but he was still mobbed anytime he went out without a glamour on. The only people he really had contact with anymore were Andromeda, Teddy and the Weasley twins, and that was rare as Fred was still recovering from the final battle. They had thought him dead, but Harry had noticed a faint pulse after the battle was over which saved his life. Ron and Hermione were lapping up the fame for being part of the Golden Trio and couldn't be bothered to speak to him unless it would get them in the papers, and Ginny couldn't understand that they were over and would always be over once he found out the truth that she had been slipping him love potions. After the final battle he had asked Creature to prepare all his food and drinks since he had heard rumors of girls planning on trying to slip him a potion, as well as checking all his mail for curses and potions and forward them to the DMLE since he knew there were still Voldemort supporters running around, and he was glad he did since the first care package he had received from the Weasleys after the war had been filled with loyalty and love potions. He figured that's why he had begun dating Ginny in the first place, since before that he hadn't been interested in her at all before his 6th year. He warned them to check Hermione as well just in case, since this behavior wasn't what he was used to from her, but was disappointed to find out she was clean of all potions. Harry decided he needed to write to Gringotts to settle his part in the break-in and see if he would have any money left when he was done. He knew his vault wasn't very big, but hopefully they would understand after he explained everything. He had also managed to keep the sword of Gryffindor to try and repair some damage between them, even if he couldn't control if the sword disappeared from their bank again. To whom it may concern. I am writing this letter to make an appointment at your convenience, so I may explain why I broke into the bank and into the Lestrange vault for Helga Hufflepuff's cup. I also have the sword of Gryffindor I told Griphook I would return to him, but I have no idea of the enchantments on the blade as it returned to the school during the final battle. I await your reply at your convenience. Harry Potter. Harry didn't know what else to write, so just decided that his letter would have to do. It got the point across, so he asked Creature to head to the Owl post office to send it on its way. Once he got back they had a quick dinner and went to bed, figuring he would more than likely have a reply in the morning. The next morning he awoke to an owl at his bedroom window with a letter from Gringotts, so he quickly went through his morning routine and sat down to a simple breakfast of toast and juice before reading the letter. Lord Potter Black. We have scheduled you to meet with Director Ragnarok at 10 a.m. We await your prompt arrival. Griphook. Potter Account Manager. Harry had to reread the letter a few times. Lord. He was no lord unless this was something that the headmaster had kept from him for his greater good. He was already coming to the conclusion he had been a manipulative old man. Well, it's 9:45 a.m. so I better go. Harry quickly grabbed the bottomless bag he placed Gryffindor's sword in and apparated as close to the steps to Gringotts as he could before quickly walking inside before anyone could stop him. Once inside he looked around before spotting Griphook speaking to a teller and quickly walked over to him and waiting until he was done with his conversation. Lord Potter, right on time. Follow me. Griphook said shortly before walking off down the hallway, passing several doors before stopping before ceiling-high doors with Gringotts written elegantly in jewels and gold. There were 2 guards standing outside the doors with their hands on swords watching him closely. Lord Potter to see Director Ragnarok. Griphook said to the guards watching him before one of them nodded before knocking on the door, then slipping inside quickly before reappearing and opening the door wide enough they could enter. "We will see you now," the guard said to them before stepping aside so they could enter. "Thank you," Harry said to the guards as he walked in before they shut the door behind him. "Griphook, Lord Potter, please have a seat." Tea. Ragnarok asked them both as he showed his own cup. "Yes, sir. Thank you," Griphook said quickly knowing the director rarely offered such comforts. "Yes please sir," Harry said after watching Griphook and knowing it would be rude to refuse as he doubted the director offered tea very often. Once their tea was delivered and made to their liking, he sat back with his cup clutched tightly in his hands, hoping it would help calm him down some. "Okay Lord Potter, I'm willing to listen to your explanation for why you broke into my bank." Ragnarok was very curious what this young man had to say. If he had not written to them they would have more than likely taken everything he owned, but since he was trying to own up to it, he would give him the benefit of the doubt. He was at least showing honor unlike his companions. "Call me Harry please sir, I didn't even know I was a lord until I received the reply from Griphook this morning." "What? How can that be? I've received replies from you for years now regarding your vaults." Griphook was furious now. Either this young man was lying to them or somebody was deceiving them. "Sir, I've never written to Gringotts until yesterday and that was the first letter I've ever received from you as well. If need be I will swear an oath or take Veritaserum so you know I'm telling the complete truth during this meeting." "I think for now the oath would be a good idea," Ragnarok said quickly. He believed the boy, but it would prove he was telling the truth beyond a shadow of a doubt. "Yes sir, do you have any specific wording you would like?" Harry was willing to do anything to prove he was being honest. Ragnarok quickly wrote out the oath he wanted taken and handed the paper to Harry. He read the oath quickly and nodded before drawing his wand slowly and pointed it straight up. "I Harry James Potter Black do hereby swear on my magic that everything I say for the next 30 minutes is the complete and honest truth to the best of my knowledge." Once he finished his oath there was a quick flash of light of the oath being accepted before he put his wand away. "Okay Harry, have you ever received letters from or written to Gringotts besides the letter you sent yesterday and reply received today?" Ragnarok asked figuring that would be the best way to start. "No sir." "Shit. Sir, we need to summon all files for his accounts to go over. Somebody has been stealing from him for years now," Griphook said angrily. He couldn't believe he had been deceived like that. "We will take a look at everything once this is over and get back everything taken, plus interest," Ragnarok said thinking quickly. Harry would need to take an inheritance test to see what all they would have to go over. "Once we have our explanation to the break-in we will do an inheritance test and go over it all." "Yes sir," Griphook said quickly knowing it would need to be done. "Okay Harry tell me why you broke into the bank." Voldemort made Horcruxes and had hidden one in Bellatrix's vault. "It was the cup of Helga Hufflepuff and it needed to be destroyed so I could finally kill him." Harry wasn't sure if they knew what a Horcrux was but figured if they didn't they would ask. "He did what?" "There was one of those abominations in my bank." Ragnarok could not believe what he just heard. "Why did you not tell Griphook what you were after? We would have happily destroyed it." Now Ragnarok was curious. "You said Horcruxes, how many did that thing make?" "Yes sir. He made 8 including the one in his body. A diary the Malfoy family had that I destroyed in my second year after it possessed Ginny Weasley and released a basilisk on the school. I killed the basilisk with Godric Gryffindor's sword and the diary with a basilisk fang that had pierced my arm. Fawkes the headmaster's phoenix cried on the wound or I would have died. Helga Hufflepuff's cup was destroyed with a basilisk fang. Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem was destroyed by Fienfear. Salazar Slytherin's locket was destroyed by Godric Gryffindor's sword, as was his familiar Nagini and Marvolo Gaunt's ring. He destroyed the one in my scar when he hit me with the killing curse during the final battle, and then he was destroyed by his own rebounding killing curse. What exactly did you take from the Lestrange vault?" "The only thing taken to my knowledge was Helga Hufflepuff's cup." "Do you mean harm to anybody in the Goblin Nation?" "No. Absolutely not." "Do you plan on stealing anything from the Goblin Nation again?" "No. Absolutely not. I wouldn't have in the first place if it wasn't necessary to end Voldemort." "Why didn't you tell Griphook what you were after?" "I did sir. I told him exactly what I needed and why. After I told him he said he would help us, seemed extremely angry, said he would speak to us again the next day and went to his room. Then the next thing I knew he was demanding the sword and didn't seem to want to help any longer." "What? You never told me anything at all. Just that you needed to break into the bank." "Yes sir I did while we were at Shell Cottage. Bill, Fleur, Ron and Hermione were there with us at the time because Bill said that the Goblin Nation disposed of Horcruxes all the time and despised anyone who made them and convinced us to tell you so I did. I figured you would know since he worked for the bank." "I don't remember any of this. Somebody must have erased my memory, but why?" Why erase my memory when I'm willing to help? I think I might have an idea, but this is just my opinion. I think it was Hermione. She has gotten very good with memory charms over the last year. She said she memory charmed her parents to forget her and sent them to Australia. As for why, I think it was either on the orders of Dumbledore or for the fame of being able to say that we broke into the bank, since if you've seen the Daily Prophet lately, that's really all that's on there. Her and Ron bragging about their part in the war. Well, I think what we will do is send both of you to the healers and have them give you both a full checkup. Look for potions and charms of any kind so we can get to the bottom of this. Ragnarok decided quickly. He wanted the person responsible for all of this to pay for it. This man in front of him, and he did regard him as a man now, had tried to do the right thing. When that option was taken from him, he did the only thing he could do at that point, and he could respect that. He would punish the persons responsible for making that option necessary. Okay Harry, since you tried to do the right thing and once that was taken from you is when you resorted to desperate measures and broke into the bank, I will forgive any transgressions on your part. What I want to do now is get you both to the healers and have you both checked over. Once that is done, we will repair any damage we can, and in the case of potions, flush them from your system. Do either of you know of any potions or damage that might need to be fixed? No sir, nothing that I know of except the memory charms. Griphook said after thinking quickly. He had been healed completely after he returned home from being held captive, but they didn't check for memory spells. Yes sir. I think that would be a good idea, as I just found out the Weasleys had been feeding me potions for at least a year, so I can't say for certain nothing else was done as well. Harry knew he had to be honest since he was still under his oath for the next 5 minutes. I also don't know about my health since I was abused as a child and my Hogwarts years were very eventful. Okay, we will go over all the findings and if possible we will fix all the damage done to you Harry. Let's go get this over with, then we will move on to the inheritance. Ragnarok said, standing and leading the way to their medical wing. Our healers are better than human healers anyways, so we should be able to repair any damage. Thank you sir. Call me Ragnarok, please, both of you. We will be working together for a while to get this all taken care of, so we might as well drop the formality. Once they got to the medical wing, Ragnarok quickly explained to the healers he wanted a full workup on both Griphook as well as Lord Potter. Injuries, potions, charms and anything else they could find, and sat back to wait for the results. Griphook went first and was completely healthy, except for one memory charm that was quickly removed. Ragnarok sir, it was Hermione Granger who preformed the memory charm. Harry is right, I was going to help him. I was planning on bringing him to you to explain the situation before retrieving the cup and using dragon fire on it to destroy it, since they are forbidden items. I was also going to transfer the Lestrange vault to Harry for telling me about it. Thank you Griphook. We will detain Ms. Granger next time she visits the bank. Yes sir. Harry laid back on the bed when it was his turn so the goblin could scan him as well. He watched as the goblin got angrier and angrier while performing the scan and knew something seriously had to be wrong. Well Lord Potter, let's start with physical first. You've had 57 broken bones and are suffering from severe malnutrition to the point you're bordering on organ failure. Your bones are 70% weaker than they should be. Your eyesight is atrocious and is due to being hit in the head repeatedly, being stuck in the dark and the wrong prescription glasses. You're roughly 6 inches shorter than you should be and 50 pounds lighter. Also you have scar tissue running up and down your body from what looks like a belt or whip. Now let's talk mentally. You have 37 memory charms placed on you ranging from when you were 4 years old on. You also have a binding on your intelligence that should have made you clinically retarded. That you are as smart and capable as you are is astonishing. Now let's talk magically. You have a series of bindings on your magic that seem to have been done over the years. At the age of 15 months your magic was bound 75%, leaving you only 25% of your magic accessible. At age 5 you went from 25% to 15%. Age 11 you went from 15% to 10%. Age 13 you went from 10% to 5%. Age 16 you went from 5% to 1%. The only good thing about this is that your magic grew to compensate the bindings, so your magic grew and grew and grew. If it hadn't, you would be little better than a squib at this point, but you're already one of the strongest wizards in the world, and that's with only 1% of your magic available. Now, you also have bindings on other gifts related to your magic. Metamorphagus is completely bound. Natural healing is 75% bound. Durability with charms, transfiguration, potions, runes and all other subjects are bound to 45%. Dark arts is actually 100% bound. The next would be potions. You have loyalty potions keyed to Ron, Ginny and Molly Weasley, Hermione Granger and Albus Dumbledore. Love potions keyed to Ginny Weasley and Cho Chang. Distrust towards Draco Malfoy and Severus Snape. Next for charms. Loyalty towards Gryffindors, Muggles, Albus Dumbledore, Hermione Granger and the 3 Weasleys. Distrust and hate towards Slytherins, Draco Malfoy and Severus Snape. Disinterested towards making friends and trusting anyone not listed on the loyalty charms. The good thing is we can fix all of it. The bad part is that it will hurt severely if you're awake for it. There is one other thing, but it can be discussed later as it isn't anything negative, just different. Once the healer stopped listing everything, the whole room was fuming. Harry couldn't believe everything he just heard, but he knew the goblins wouldn't lie. "Can you tell who gave me the potions and everything else?" Harry asked quietly. He was restraining himself at this point from blowing up since he knew it wasn't their fault. Yes. The bindings were all done by Albus Dumbledore. The potions were given by the person they were keyed to except the negative ones. They were all given by Dumbledore and continued by Hermione Granger. The charms were done by Dumbledore and Hermione Granger. Harry sighed as he thought about everything he had been through. How this all might have been over with before if he hadn't been hindered so much. "How long will it take to fix everything?" Harry asked the healer. He wanted everything gone. He didn't care about the pain at this point, he would deal with it. He's dealt with pain his whole life, so this wouldn't be anything new. 24 hours. We will put you to sleep and remove all potions, charms and blocks, which takes roughly 10 hours since the potions seep out of your body. Once that's done, we will do a ritual that will fix all your health problems. The ritual takes 12 hours to complete, and once it's done you will be in perfect health. No negative side effects from the treatment you received, as your magic will be directed towards healing you as the bindings break, and the ritual will boost that. Let's do it, please. Director. The healer called uncertainly. She could not perform the healing without his approval, as the ritual took quite a few expensive supplies. Heal him as best you can. Harry, we will meet tomorrow once you're completely healed. For now, Griphook and I will go over the accounts we know you have, so we have some answers there. Ragnarok said before getting up and walking out of the room, Griphook on his heels. He didn't want to waste any time getting things fixed for this man. Not after what he just heard about the type of life he lived. He would make somebody pay since he knew money had been going out for his care, but they now had proof it wasn't used on him. "Okay, Lord Potter, strip down to your underwear and lay on the bed so we can get started. I'm going to give you a large dose of dreamless sleep and use a charm to keep you asleep during this whole process, hopefully, so you don't experience any of the pain. When you wake up you will be sore for a few days." The healer watched as Harry started following her directions before handing him the potion to fall asleep. "That sounds great, thank you for doing this." "It's my job, Lord Potter." Once Harry was fully asleep, the healer started spelling multiple potions into his system to remove any potions besides healing potions from his body. Next she began chanting to remove all the charms and bindings on his magic before retreating to the other side of the room to get the ritual ready. The ritual room was empty, so she got started setting up runes in a ritual circle to promote healing and life. There were 4 large gold cauldrons set up on the north, south, east and west points. Facing the north was filled with phoenix tears, south had a large amount of skelegro, east had blood replenishing potion, and west had a nutritional potion. That would give his body the blood and nutrients to grow, as well as fix his bones. The phoenix tears would get rid of any remaining negative magic, as well as help the healing process. She could use a strengthening solution instead, but the director wanted the best she could do, and this was it. She quickly checked on Lord Potter before retreating to her office for a short nap, since she wouldn't be able to sleep during the ritual, and there wasn't much she could do now besides wait, and if she was needed the diagnostic charms on the bed would alert her. When she woke up she quickly checked on her patient. He was looking healthier already. She quickly used a few cleaning charms to remove the filth from his skin before moving him to a bathing chamber and washing him completely. She didn't want any of the old potions to contaminate the healing ritual. Once he was clean she moved him over to the center point of the ritual circle before getting ready to start chanting to activate it when a bright flash of fire appeared over the phoenix tears. Next thing she knew there was a phoenix sitting on the edge of the cauldron looking at her intently before it bit its leg and dropped 7 drops of blood into the cauldron, followed by what looked like phoenix ash from its talon, before letting 7 tears fall into the cauldron and disappearing in a flash like it came. She was positive it would work now, Lord Potter would be the healthiest person alive or close to it when she was finished. Phoenix blood freely given promoted life, while phoenix ash freely given promoted rebirth, added in with fresh phoenix tears freely given to promote healing. Once she began the healing chant you could see the ritual circle flare before you could hear his bones break and straighten, muscles ripping and tearing. It was not pleasant to watch nor listen to. Once that part was completed it got easier as the potions did their work. He grew to 6 and filled out completely with the muscle he should have had, which gave him a fighter's build. Now he was mainly healing scars and any internal injuries dealt from his malnourishment as she quickly added more of the nutrient potion to the cauldron as he was almost out. Anything left over could be used for someone else, so she wasn't worried about using too much as the ritual wouldn't take more than he would need to heal. There was plenty of the blood replenishing and Skelegro left, but she needed some more phoenix tears she decided, but before she could go get them there was a flash of light and 7 phoenix flashed into the room and started crying tears into the cauldron before adding 7 drops of blood each and a bit of ash from each of them. Watching them she knew this man was destined for great things. Good things. The phoenix wouldn't help him otherwise. He had to be a good person, pure of heart and intentions, and only then would a phoenix willingly help him, let alone multiple ones. She quickly wrote a report for Director Ragnarok and sent it upstairs to him so he could make the best decisions for the bank while dealing with Lord Potter. She also let him know that Lord Potter had an active chakra network, one that could rival several of the demon lords, since when his magic was bound, they bound his chakra as well, not knowing which made it grow. The good part is that from her scans, he had excellent control of both his magic and chakra. She just didn't know why a chakra user was on the outside instead of behind the barrier. Once the ritual was over she thoroughly bathed him and dressed him in a long-sleeve shirt and pants and laid on the bed and ran several scans over him to make sure nothing was missed. Satisfied with her work she sent a guard to get the director and spelled a heavy-duty painkiller into Lord Potter's system before releasing the spell keeping him asleep to let him wake naturally, figuring it would take about 10 minutes and got her records in order so she could give her report and ordered lunch for the Lord since she knew he would need to eat once he woke. Lord Potter, it's time to wake up and eat. Director Ragnarok will be here shortly and I'll go over all my findings then. The healer said as she saw her patient stirring before placing a tray with food next to his bedside. Okay, thank you, healer. He knew all goblin healers only went by the title healer while they were doing their job, so he didn't know her name. Harry was just finishing the last bite of his food when Ragnarok and Griphook walked in and sat down, so he put his tray back on the table and waited for the healer to give her report. Now Lord Potter, I do want to let you know that during the ritual, we had a very different situation. Before it first began a phoenix showed up and added tears, ash and blood to the phoenix tears we already planned to use. Now during the ritual you were on the last dose of phoenix tears, so I went to get more, but before I could a group of 7 phoenix showed up and repeated the process. 7 tears, 7 drops of blood, and I'm guessing 7 grams of ash as well to keep with the same measurements of 7. They are the reason you are completely scar-free and completely healed. Go ahead and stand up and take a look, get used to your body some. The healer said before calling up a mirror. Once Harry got to his feet he stumbled some before he was able to get his balance and walked a few feet to the mirror. Once he was there he looked himself over and noticed the scar on his head was gone, which made him smile. Now Lord Potter, you went from 5'5" to 6 and from 130 pounds to 175 pounds. Every broken bone has been healed and all scars are gone. Any internal damage has been healed and all bindings are gone so you have your full power and the director can give you a test to look for any abilities you gained from this and your magic levels. Also the only potion you're on now is a strong painkiller which I will give you a supply of to take for the next week as needed as well as a mild and weak strength supply so you can choose what to take but I recommend you use the strongest dose for the next 3 days at least. Yes ma'am. This healer had done so much for Harry he would not disrespect her by not following what directions she did give him. You also need to eat a balanced diet and no skipping meals for at least a week. I will give you a nutrient potion to take every day for 7 days as well in the morning with breakfast. Do you have an elf at home? Yes ma'am, his name is Creature. He was a black family elf, he fought in the battle at Hogwarts with us. He also tried to destroy a forbidden object for years. Do you need me to call him? Yes, I will be going over your meals with him. I will also take a look at his health as well, if he's going to be taking care of you he needs to be healthy, so call him, tell him to listen to me and go with the director. I'll send a report of everything home with him when he leaves. Yes ma'am. Creature. Yes Master Harry. Creature replied as he looked around. He knew this was his master, but he didn't look anything like he did yesterday before he left. I need you to listen to the healer. She just healed me and has a meal plan I need to follow she would like to tell you about and she also has my permission to heal you if you need it so you will follow her orders until she tells you she is completely done okay. Harry gave his instructions as he knelt on the ground to talk to the little elf. That he did that showed the goblins just what kind of person he was if they needed more proof after being healed by phoenixes. The elf looked horrific, but you could also tell it wasn't something Harry had done, especially since he ordered the elf to be healed. Yes, master. Creature wasn't sure about this, but he would follow his orders. He had never been healed before. Okay, Creature, up on the bed and we will get started. Harry heard as he followed Ragnarok out the doors of the infirmary. When they got to Ragnarok's office he ordered tea for them all and directed them to sit before he pulled out 4 different parchment and a dagger. Harry, I want you to cut your finger and let 7 drops of blood fall on each of these parchment. The first is inheritance, the second is magical abilities, third is a family tree, and the last is bloodline abilities, which I will explain while we wait, since these will take about an hour to complete. Ragnarok explained before lining up the parchment on the desk and handing Harry the dagger, watching as he cut his finger and counted the blood drops before taking the dagger back and healing his finger quickly. Now while we wait for these, I will go over what the healer found that she said was not bad, just different, and the reason I had you take a bloodline ability test. Off the coast of Japan is a hidden island that call themselves the Elemental Nations. They contain a group of people that call themselves shinobi or ninja, if you will. They have 5 major nations called fire, wind, lightning, earth and water, with a bunch of smaller nations mixed in between. They were hidden a little over 1100 years ago because they were attacked by something they called the Juubi. What nobody knows is that Merlin was the one to contain the Juubi and used a version of runes they call seals to seal the Juubi away into his body, which gave him chakra as well as magic. When he was about to pass away about 200 years later, he split the Juubi in 9 pieces they now call demons and seal away into people so they don't cause damage to their world. Most people on this island or country do not know about the outside world, and few ever leave for this reason. Usually it is only the daimyo and kage that know. Now something to remember is that they don't use magic, but something called chakra, which is a mixture of physical and spiritual energy. The healer found that you have an active chakra network, which is something we haven't seen here in a very long time, so we are guessing this is something you inherited from your mother's side of the family. Is it possible I have family still there? Harry asked hopefully. He knew he wanted to leave England, so if he had family there, this would be something to look into. It is possible, Harry. I know your mother opened a vault when she first came into the bank when she was 11 and filled it with scrolls and what looked like Japanese money and didn't touch it after that, so I truly believe her family came from the Elemental Nations. The family tree would show us all family you have living or dead and will also be self-updating once it's finished. Thank you, that is something I always wanted to know. Harry couldn't believe he might have living family besides the Dursleys. Now the Elemental Nations are very different from modern-day Japan in that they have electricity and television, but not much else. There are no cars or planes. They walk or run everywhere with the aid of chakra, which makes them able to run over 200 miles per hour. The country itself is about 9,500 miles long and about 7,000 miles wide depending the location, so it's about as big as the European and Asian countries put together. Each country is ruled by a daimyo, which is mainly like our queen, and then the shinobi villages are called hidden villages, which are ruled over by the Hokage, which is the strongest shinobi, and he has a council of usually clan leaders and merchants that help him with day-to-day things. Now with the shinobi, they usually start training while they are children and are essentially child solders, but they do have training and mental health checks, and it is voluntary to sign up. They are ranked by their strength and are genin, chunin, jounin and kage. Ah, looks like our hour is up, so let's look these over and we can always come back to this discussion later. Ragnarok was enjoying explaining this to the man since he knew none of the human magic users knew about this. The goblins did because they did go there for information, weapons and training guides at times, since it was best to always have information about people just in case. Now the financial will take a while since we know someone was stealing from you, so we will do that last. Let's start with your magical abilities and strength. Your magical index is 2325, which is insanely high. Merlin scored a 1500 before he went to the Elemental Nations, and that was at his prime, and his magic was fully finished growing. You have one more growth period, you will hit at 21, which should double your magic, as this shows if you stay healthy your magic should cap at 4650. Your abilities are Eidetic Memory or Photographic Memory, Wandless Magic, Potions Prodigy, Charms Prodigy, Transfiguration Prodigy, Defense Prodigy, Dark Arts Prodigy, Runes Prodigy, Arithmancy Prodigy, Herbology Prodigy, Elemental Prodigy, Mind Magic Prodigy, Weather Magic Prodigy, Shadow Magic Prodigy, Metamorphagus. Now keep in mind, it might say Prodigy, but all that really means is that you will learn it easier and faster than most people. You can combine different classes of magic together as well for things like spell creation and enchanting, and you would be a prodigy in that field as well, but what I'm going to tell you on this is study and train. Now for bloodline abilities, your mother's family was from there, but it looks like your father had someone in his family from there as well about 700 years ago, 500 years and then lastly 200 years ago. Your mother's side is from the Uzumaki clan that was wiped out about 30 years ago, so your grandparents must have ran when that happened. It shows your abilities from that family are a very strong life force and slowed aging, so when you're 80 you will probably look to be about 40. You have the ability to heal people with your chakra with them biting you and sucking your chakra through the bite. This will heal fatal wounds if used fast enough, just monitor your chakra levels and don't use the ability too often as it can become addicting for people. With training you will be a sensor which can tell when people are around them, but the distance does differ between people. The last thing is your mother's clan specialty was Fuinjutsu, which was the sealing I told you about. It says you are a seal's prodigy, which I expected since it's just a different version of runes. Your father's family is a little different in that they had 3 different people from different clans show up from before they had hidden villages. The first was Uchiha, which has a bloodline called the Sharingan, which is eye-based. When they activate it their eyes turn red with black tomo inside that can copy their jutsu to jutsu and jinjutsu attacks, as well able to easily memorize anything they see with it on. The second person was a Senju, which has powerful life force and chakra and was rivals with the Uchiha in that they never focused on just one thing and mastered many different skills. The last person was a Nara, which specializes in shadow jutsu, and all of their members are usually considered extremely intelligent. This is probably where your shadow magic and eidetic memory comes from. Now for your family tree, it looks like you have your mother's sister and her son, Petunia and Dudley Dursley. She also had another older sister who it looks like was sent to Konoha about a year before the Uzumakas were wiped out, but she died 6 years ago, leaving behind a newborn son named Naruto, who this shows is an orphan as his father died the same day. You have 2 other distant relatives, one is named Nagato and the other Karen, but it doesn't have a location for them. Your father's side shows it's mainly the people related to the Black family that are alive. Narcissa and Draco Malfoy, the Weasleys, Andromeda Tonks and Theodore Lupin. Now why don't we stop here and get some lunch and take a bathroom break, stretch our legs, and we will start on the financial part of it all. Ragnar could tell Harry was overwhelmed, so he pointed him to a bathroom and ordered them lunch to be brought along with some comfortable chairs to eat in and for Harry to get some time to think. As Harry ate lunch he was thinking of all he learned. He would have to study a lot to make the most of his abilities, which he had planned on doing anyways, since he never did pass his newts. He was also thinking of heading to the elemental nations once he heard of his orphan little nephew, but he would need to learn a lot more about that section of the world before he did, but it sounded like Ragnar could help him there, along with the scrolls his mom put in a vault, but he would need to look to be sure, but he also didn't want to abandon Teddy as he was his godson, but maybe Teddy and Andromeda would go with him. It was something they would need to talk about for sure. Once he had his thoughts straight he figured it was time to start on the money aspect of everything. Okay Ragnar, I think I'm ready to go over the financial part of it all now. Okay, let's get some tea and head back over to my desk. Ragnar said, getting up and heading over and getting all his files in order and pulling out what looked like 2 different ring boxes. Now, what we have found out is between Dumbledore, the Weasleys and Ms. Granger, they have stolen 1.4 million from the Potter accounts, along with books and artifacts, but luckily we have a way to get all of it back and anything else missing from any other account that was not taken with your permission and will return to your vaults, so we will go over that last so you can recall everything at once. I can't believe they would do that, but at this point I'm not shocked about what they did, not after the medical reports. We will handle it the way you suggest since you know more than I do about this. Harry stated before letting Ragnar continue. Okay, now this is the fun part. You inherited 3 families, so we will go over this all one at a time, starting with the family name and any monies, property, artifacts and books. I will say you are one very rich man. Potter. 5,987,654,890, 875,097, 7,297. 12,453 magical books or scrolls, some out of print or rare. The house elves stock the library of anything that comes up for sale, new or old, that you don't have a copy of. It is the largest magical library in the world. 19,834 Muggles books, many first editions and any books that have ever been printed. 3 houses. Godric Hollow and Godric's Hollow, illegal national monument, back rent due 1,233,098. Otter Castle is on the Isle of Man in Glenmare on the coast. It is under complex wards and has its own greenhouses, and part of it is warded off for animals. There are a lot of rare plants and animals hidden there last I knew. It has a large group of house elves as well. Otter Chalet in Nice, France, which was a vacation house on the beach. Next is Black. 1,933,234,090, 805,017, 3,117. 456 books, mostly on the dark arts. 1 house at number 12 Grimald Place in London, England. 1 island off the coast of England called Black Isle that has a small vacation house but not much else. Last would be Evans. 13,123, 2,391, 297, 123,223,212 yen. 3,887 scrolls. 1 island in the elemental nations under wards that do not allow anyone on the island without Uzumaki blood. 1 large house and clan compound in Konoha and Fire Country, elemental nations. What am I going to do with all that money? I don't need it. That's just insane. Can I donate some of it to places like St. Mungo or Hogwarts? Harry exclaimed in shock. He didn't know what he was going to do with all that money, but he knew after the war he could help a lot even with a small amount of donations. What you do with it is up to you, but you can donate some of it if you choose to, but first let's get everything recalled to your vaults and go from there, okay? Ragnarok said with a chuckle as he wrote down what Harry needed to say to recall everything that was stolen from him. He was glad all of his families agreed to let them tag all their belongings so they couldn't stolen. Even if a book was burned or even potion ingredients used, they would still be recalled exactly how they left the vault. It was a very tricky piece of magic. Say this, Harry. I, Harry James Potter Black Evans, hereby recall all monies and items owned by me to my vault that were not approved to be taken and are not in my possession, so mote it be. Harry could feel a small tug on his magic as light flashed around him. Well, that's that. All that is left is to put on your lordship rings. First is Potter, which protects up to mid-level hexes and Kirsten against legilimency. Black protects against the same as well as some physical attacks. Each ring is a portkey to all properties owned by you as well. The Evans family didn't have rings since it was just your mother who opened it. Place both rings on your right ring finger and they will meld together and you can just think of the ring you want to show. Harry looked at both rings before he put them on. They were simple rings. The Potter ring had a gold band and a ruby with a large P carved into the stone, and the black ring silver with a large B carved into an onyx stone. He slipped both on his ring finger for both as they melded into each other before showing only the Potter ring. Okay, that's all done. Was there anything else you wanted to do that you needed help with right now? Ragnarok was curious what this man would do now that he knew he was rich. He knew money could change people, but he hoped it didn't with him. I would like to donate the same from the Potter and Black accounts, so 5 million to both Hogwarts and St. Mungo, and ask that Griphook manage it so that it doesn't disappear into anyone's pockets, and put 10 million into a scholarship fund for any who need it. He can manage it any way he sees fit. Keep 1 million to use for investments with the money going back into the donation fund to help keep money available. If more is needed, he has my permission to donate up to 5 million more on each. I know after the war both places are struggling to rebuild and treat their patients. Put 5 million in Andromeda Tonk's vault as well, since I know she's unable to work at the moment and is raising my godson. I would also like to give 5 million to Gringotts as we did damage the building and that couldn't have been cheap to repair. Even if you cleared me of wrongdoing, I would still like to help pay the costs on it. I also would like to pay whatever the cost was to heal me completely, as you didn't need to do it, but you still did. It wasn't that costly to repair, to be honest. It was only 2 million altogether, even to replace the Dragon Guardian. To heal you was 440,000 altogether, so 5 million was way too much. Okay, how about 2.5 million then? Harry was adamant he would pay for what he did. Okay, deal. Anything else? Yes, I would like all the scrolls from my mom's vault and to transfer all the wizarding money to the Potter vault. Keep the yen in the Evans vault though, please. Also, is there a way for me to withdraw money without carrying a ton of coins with me? Harry wanted to look through all the scrolls his mom had, since, if he was going to go to the elemental nations, he would need to know these things. Yes, we have a coin purse you can carry as well as a card that will work in both the Muggles and Wizarding world. With the purse, just say the amount you need and it will pull the amount from your vault, and the card, just swipe it like a regular debit card in the Muggle world, and in the Wizarding world, just tap it to a pad they have next to the register. Griphook, please go collect all scrolls from the Evans vault and put them in a bottomless backpack and go collect the coin pouch and card. Yes, sir. Griphook said before leaving quickly. Ragnarok, is it possible to get copies of everything you have on the elemental nations? I think I might end up going there, even if it's just to check on my nephew. Normally I'd say no, but for you I will. It will cost you 1 million though, just because of the number of things we have. I will also have weapons made for you that you can practice with at the use. It will take a week to finish, so I will send you a letter when you can pick it up. That's fine. That reminds me, in this bag is the sword of Gryffindor. Be careful, it has basilisk poison imbued on the blade. Harry said as he went to hand over the pouch containing the sword. Ragnarok looked at it for a long while before leaning back in his chair. He knew he could take it, but it would always follow the young man in front of him. The first time he summoned it bound the sword to him for life, and the sword was made to work with magic as well as chakra, which many didn't know. Keep it. But I promised, Griphook. Now Harry was confused. He knew the goblins wanted the sword back, so he wasn't expecting this. When you first summoned the sword, it bound itself to you for life. It will always come when you need it. Even if you gave it to us now, it would follow you if you were ever in need. It is also made to work with magic and chakra, so I think it will serve you well. Ragnarok explained his reasoning. Oh. Well, thank you then. Harry was shocked, but he wouldn't refuse if that was truly the case. As they sat back to finish their tea and wait for Griphook to return, Harry decided he would head to Grimmauld Place and pack his belongings and head to Potter Castle to drop them off and then get some sleep. In the morning he needed to go visit Andy and Teddy and then go shopping for clothes as the only thing he has that fits is what he's wearing right now. After that he would have to explain everything he learned and talk it all over with her. Ragnock, can I get copies of the healer report and everything that was stolen? I would like to show Andromeda so she knows what's going on as I would like them to go with me if I do decide to leave. Of course. Ragnock quickly made copies of everything before rolling them up together and handing them to Harry to take with him. Right after that Griphook walked back in the room with a large bag in his hand. All the scrolls are in this bag. If you say list it will give you a list of everything in it and to take something out just put your hand in and say the name of the item and to empty it completely just hold it upside down and say empty. Griphook explained before setting the bag down by Harry's feet. Now I have 3 keys for you, 1 per vault, and I had all the old ones recalled. Gold for Potter, silver for Black and copper for Evans, so they are easily identifiable. This is a multi-use money pouch, but I also grabbed a wallet which can be used the same way as I didn't know what you would prefer. Wallet please, it's easier to use and conceal in the Muggles world. Okay, so this one has 3 sections so it will tie into each of your accounts. Just place 1 key per section and to withdraw money from it, stick your hand or fingers in and think the amount you need, so it would be like 3 or 3 pounds. It can call up any type of currency in the world, so you only need to say the amount and type. In front of each pouch is a card tied to each slot which are colored to match the keys and they work by either tapping at the register or swiping it in the Muggle world and will pay using any currency needed. Griphook explained it all quickly before handing it over to Harry to put in his pocket before taking a note from Ragnock and leaving the room again. Was there anything else before we went to check on your elf? Ragnock asked curiously. Not that I can think of at the moment. If I do think of something I'll either wait to ask until next week when everything is copied for me or I'll send a letter with my question and add PS Elemental Nations to the end so you know it's from me. That works for us. Let's go check on your elf then. Once they got to the infirmary to check on Creature, it looked like he was completely finished and just waiting on Harry. Healer, report. Ragnock said before sitting in one of the chairs gesturing Harry to sit as well. I ran him through a cleansing ritual to get rid of any residue dark magic and a minor healing ritual to improve his health, but otherwise he is healthy and his magic is strong. He's ready to go and has all instructions for Lord Potter's diet and potions. I also gave him measurements so he could go get Lord Potter some clothes, since I doubt he has any that will fit him until he can go himself. Lord Potter, please take this before you go. The healer said as she handed Harry another pain potion as his last one would be wearing off soon. The total for his healing is 500, which was taken from the Black Vault. Thank you healer. Harry, I will escort you both out if you're ready. Ragnock said after listening to the healer. Alright, let's go. Once they got to the front of the bank Harry quickly bowed to Ragnock before exiting the bank. Once out front he asked Creature to go get him a few sets of clothes and then meet him at Grimmauld Place, handing the little elf a conjured bag with 50 before using the port key on the black ring to head home to pack everything he had there that he wanted to keep with him. Master Harry eyes back. Creature said as Harry appeared in the room Harry was using before handing him the bag with his clothes. I just got 2 sets of pajamas, 2 pants, 2 shirts, 2 robes and some socks and underwear and 1 pair of shoes. All will adjust to fit. Creature explained before handing the leftover money back. Thank you Creature. We are going to go to Potter Castle as I would like to look around, so please go pack your belongings to take with you. Harry refused to leave the elf here alone again. Yes, master. Creature said before bowing and popping away. He was glad not to be left behind by himself. He quickly grabbed his extra clothes and anything precious he had before popping back to his master. Ready Master Harry. Okay, we are going to be taking a port key so grab onto me and hold on tight. Harry shrank his trunk before slipping it in his pocket and waited for the elf to grab his leg before activating the port key to a Potter Castle. Once they landed they were treated to the side of a large entrance hall reminiscent of Hogwarts with tasteful decorations before hearing elf popping in. Welcome home Master Harry. I'm Petal the head house elf for the Potters. Hello Petal, I'm Harry and this is my personal elf Creature. Would you show us around please? Harry was impressed by her speech wondering if she could teach Creature but figured that could come later. Right away Master Harry. Please follow me. Petal exclaimed in excitement. Potter Castle has a flue room right off the entrance hall as well as a large ballroom and a large bathroom for men and women. There are 20 guest rooms that have their own bathroom and sitting room and a small library. The main floor has always been used for guests and parties. She showed them each room before heading to the second floor. Now this floor and up is for family and friends to stay as it has a large sitting room, a living room, the library entrance and the master's study. There are 10 bedrooms with an office, bathroom and sitting room in each, as well as the master suite which is the same just larger, but has a connecting door to a nursery, the master study and the library. The next floor is all bedrooms and nurseries for family, as well as another library entrance. The top floor has a room for astronomy, as well as labs for other fields of study except potions which is in the basement, as well as the kitchen and a room with prison cells. The elf rooms are in the attic. She explained it all quickly, showing them each floor and room besides the basement. The library was huge, about 4 times larger than Hogwarts it seemed. Thank you, Petal. If you would, Creature has a diet plan I need to follow for the next few weeks, so if you would show him to his room and work that out with him, I would be grateful. I'm going to get unpacked, so would you have dinner brought to my room in an hour please? Harry said as he walked into the master suite. Yes, Master Harry. Petal said before grabbing Creature and popping away. Once the elves left, Harry started on unpacking his meager belongings, putting the clothes Creature just picked up for him in the closet and his toiletries in the bathroom. He vanished all the clothes he had from the Dursleys, since he would never need to wear them again, before putting all his writing supplies in the office and his invisibility cloak on the end of his bed. He sorted through the rest of his trunk before vanishing any trash and putting his trunk away in the closet. Once he completed unpacking, he went into the bathroom to take a quick shower before changing into a pair of pajamas and sitting on his bed with the backpack grip hook gave him to start looking at the scrolls his mother had, but before he could, Petal popped in with his dinner and left. Once he ate and sat his tray on the floor for the elves to collect later, he pulled a scroll from his bag, which looked to be some kind of training manual for something called the Swirl Fist, which looked to be some kind of fighting style, so he put it up and called another which was a jutsu called Water Dragon Jutsu before he put that up as well. He figured he would look over the information Ragnarok gave him first, since he assumed his information would make more sense, as it would give him more detailed information on that world than his mother's would, since hers would probably be training scrolls. Looking at the time, Harry decided to write a note to Andromeda so she knew he would be coming by tomorrow morning before calling Creature to send it off. When Creature came back, he put a pain potion on the stand next to his bed, explaining it would be needed tomorrow when he woke up before popping out and letting Harry turn the lights off and go to sleep. The next morning, Harry woke with a groan before downing his potion and getting up to take a warm bath to help relax his muscles before dressing and sitting down at the table in his room, calling Creature for breakfast and to see if Andromeda had written back yet. Yes, Master Harry. Creature handed him a letter before popping away to get his breakfast. Harry opened the letter to see Andy's flowing handwriting, reading the letter quickly. Dear Harry. We will be home all day, so feel free to come by when you're ready and we can talk about whatever you said you found. Love. Andy. That was definitely her short and to the point. Once Creature came back with his breakfast, he ate quickly before downing his nutrient potion and putting a pain potion in his pocket and making sure he had his wallet and the scroll Ragnarok gave him yesterday before apparating to the Tonks house and knocking on the door. Harry. Come in, dear, and have a seat. Tea? Andy asked as she closed the door. Yes please, Andy. I think we both will need it. Harry wasn't sure how she would take the reports. He had to show her or what it really meant for the people that were in the order if they had been spelled or potioned as well. Okay Harry, what's going on? Teddy is taking a nap, so we have time to talk about what's bothering you. Now Andy was just curious. She could tell something was wrong but didn't have a clue of what. Here, read these and we will talk after. Harry said, handing her the scroll Ragnarok gave him yesterday before sitting back and sipping his tea. By the time Andy was done, she was pacing up a storm looking ready to kill. I can't believe that old coot. If he wasn't already dead. I know, but I doubt anything will be done about it besides just shaking their heads. I'm ready to leave England at this point, Andy. If I do decide to, will you and Teddy come with me? I have an idea of where to go, but I don't want to leave you and Teddy behind. I will certainly think about it, but where? I can't afford to not to work much longer. Andy said sadly, since she didn't want to leave Teddy with a babysitter. Yes you can, I transferred 5 million to your Gringotts vault yesterday. I have the entire Potter and Black fortune. I can afford to take care of both of you for the rest of our lives. If you want to stay home with Teddy, then stay home. You can also move to Potter Castle with me if you want. It has a ton of elves, the largest library I've ever seen, and plenty of rooms for all of us. If you're sure, then I'll stay home, since even when Ted was alive, we only brought in 90 a month at most, so that amount of money will last me years. I'll think of going to Potter Castle, but we might just come for visits to see how we like it. Now tell me, where were you thinking of going? Have you ever heard of the Elemental Nations? He knew the Black family had connections, so she might have. Yes, vaguely, a long time ago. She said after thinking for a few minutes. Well, apparently that was where my mom was from. She moved here when she was a child, but she had a sister that stayed behind, but she died about 6 years ago and her son is an orphan. I was thinking of going to meet him, but I don't want to leave Teddy. Director Ragnarok is supposed to be copying all the information they have about the place for me, so I can look it over on top of the things my mom had hidden in a vault. Oh. Well, if that's the case, I'll help you look everything over and we can decide then. When did he say he would have it all? Sometime next week. He said there was a lot of information, so it will probably take a while to look through. Well, let's start planning in any case, since going for a visit, even if we don't stay, might be fun. At least you will be able to check on your nephew to make sure he has a good home. That works for me. I also need to go shopping today, since the goblins healed me. I only have 2 sets of clothing I sent Creature to buy last night. Well, when Teddy wakes up, let's head to the Westfield Stratford City Mall and we can get you some clothes. Teddy needs a few things as well, since he's outgrowing all his clothing so quickly. What about his hair? Won't the muggles notice? No, I just put a notice me not charm on a hat and they won't notice a thing. I had to do the same for Nymphadora when she was still growing. Oh. That is a good idea. I will need your help to figure out how to use my Metamorphiga skills, since that's something Dumbledore put a binding on and I don't know where to start. Well, that is something I can do. It was a lot of trial and error with Nymphadora, but I think I remember how we figured it out. I'm going to go pack for 2 weeks and we will come stay with you at the castle and see how Teddy adjusts to being there before we decide any further, but that will give us time to figure out how to get you to be able to shift. Andy decided quickly. She was glad to be able to help this young man who never really asks for anything. She knew if he decided to go stay in the elemental nation she would be going with him, but she did want to see the information about it first. While Andy went to pack, Harry called Creature to let him know Teddy and Andy would be coming back with him and to prepare rooms for them next to his. Before Creature left, he told the elf he would call him back to pick up their things and then they were going to shop in the Muggle world and he would call him if he needed anything and to listen for Andromeda as well, just in case. Yes, master. Creature said before popping away. Harry sat back and thought about everything he needed to buy, but figured he would just look around and grab things he liked, as he never had the chance to go shopping for himself before. Once Andy came out with bags packed for herself and Teddy, Harry called Creature to come pick them up while she slipped a bottle into her purse that automatically refilled when you added a bit of magic. Teddy didn't need much as his diaper cleaned itself whenever it got dirty and they could use a quick cleaning charm on his clothes if needed, so Andy got his stroller and a warm blanket before grabbing an old can to make into a portkey to a park she said was nearby before they sat to wait for Teddy to wake up. Tell me more about the elemental nations, or what you know of it at least. Well, this is what Ragnarok told me, as Harry quickly filled her in on what he had been told. He was thinking of what he would need to move there. Could the elves cross back and forth? He knew the goblins did. Did they use a portkey or a type of apparition? He knew he would need to ask the goblins about it before he made any permanent plans. When Teddy started to cry, Andromeda went to get him before feeding him quickly so they could go. The rest of the day was spent shopping for all of them. Teddy got a few toys and some bigger clothes, while Andromeda grabbed a few nice dresses and a few outfits she saw, while Harry ended up getting a complete wardrobe with Andromeda's help. He was glad he could discreetly shrink the bags in the bathroom as they went, or he would have too much to carry. They stopped at a small restaurant for lunch before looking around a bit more, with Harry grabbing a few nice dress clothes before Andromeda surprised him by taking him to a hidden 3rd floor, which was for magicals only, so they walked around looking at all the shops, getting some nice robes and cloaks. It seemed everything here was of a better quality than you could get in Diagon Alley, but Andromeda quickly explained that most of the people here were Muggle-born or raised. Harry grabbed some writing supplies, parchment and paper, along with a variety of quills and inks. He also grabbed a few brushes of different sizes that said they were for runes and something they called ink stones. Before leaving the shop he saw some calligraphy pens, so grabbed a few of those and ink refills before deciding he had enough for now, as Andromeda was chuckling at his enthusiasm for writing supplies at this point. After looking through the rest of the shops, Harry spotted an odds and ends store he decided to look through and noticed they sold something they called language learners, which made them both curious. It seemed that it was basically a blank memory of nothing but languages, teaching you how to write, speak and understand all different languages. Harry decided to get both Andromeda and himself a set, since it might help them learn from the scrolls his mother had. He figured since the island was off Japan they might speak Japanese, even though the scrolls his mother had were in English, or at least the 2 he saw. He also asked if these worked for elves and found they did, so he ordered 300 of them, since they would also teach them how to speak correctly. All told they cost him close to 6,000, but he thought it was worth it. After that they decided to leave and head back to the castle and put everything away before dinner and see if they could make some sense of the scrolls his mother left. Once they portkeyed in, they were met by Creature, who showed Andromeda to her room and letting them unpack. Once Harry separated out the clothes from everything else, he called Creature to have them all laundered before putting them away in the correct rooms and heading to his office to put up all the writing supplies he picked up and setting all the language learners on the side table before grabbing one and laying on his bed before grabbing the vial and taking the memory out and sliding it into his head and closing his eyes, giving himself the 30 minutes it says to wait before resuming his activities. Once the 30 minutes was up, he was amazed at what he suddenly knew, as it gave him all the information for every known language in the world, even runes and ancient languages. He quickly grabbed Andromeda's before calling Creature and instructing him to have all elves use one before bed that night or when they had a chance to lay down and rest for 30 minutes and what it would teach them. Creature was skeptical, but he was a good elf, so he did as he was told before letting Harry know dinner would be in 2 hours before quickly popping away. Once he was gone, Harry walked to Andromeda's room to give her the vial and letting her know about dinner and that he would be in the library separating out scrolls to see what exactly was there before heading to his room to get the bag. Once Harry got to the library, he rearranged the tables so he had them grouped by twos, so he had plenty of space to sort through things. He was glad the library was as big as it was, as the tables put together were 8 feet wide and 10 feet long with 5 tables on each row, and he had 2 rows of them with room in the middle to walk between them. Once that was said, he started grabbing scrolls out of the pack and sorting it by the type it said it was. Water, wind, fire, earth, lightning jutsus. Medical scrolls, history, sealing, taijutsu and jinjutsu. He ended up needing another set of tables he put at the end as a miscellaneous group he wasn't sure what to do with yet. He was halfway done when Andy came in to help him, so he explained the way he was grouping them before conjuring a small table to set the backpack on so they could both pull out scrolls. He was glad that they were all labeled at the top of the scroll, so you didn't need to unroll them completely. Once they were done, they both levitated comfortable chairs over in between everything and a study desk for each of them before settling down to read. Andromeda was excited to reel the medical scrolls, so that's what she grabbed to read through. Harry grabbed one from the history section, though before they actually started, Creature popped in with their dinner and his pain potion, which he realized he hadn't taken yet, so he downed it quickly before tucking into his dinner eager start reading. Once they were both finished with dinner, he called Creature to bring them some tea and writing supplies from his room so they could take notes if they needed to. Once he started reading, he was amazed at the speed he could read now and actually understand the information. The scroll he had was on the history of what they called the Warring States period, which was extremely interesting before moving on to the history of the creation of the villages and what type of clans there were. He was amazed at the types of abilities they were said to have and how they used them, not with wands but hand signs. Once he finished the last scroll on the First Shinobi World War, he moved on to the miscellaneous group, reading them as he sorted them out. It looked like his clan were pack rats with information, as they had information on bloodline jutsus that he couldn't use, so he conjured a couple boxes to put them in as he sorted and read them. Even if he couldn't use, he could still learn what people could do. He found scrolls that showed how to activate and recognize your chakra and read that before quickly putting it aside as he knew he would need it, and he found multiple types of clones as well, so he out those in a box just for clone jutsu before finding one labeled as a gift for the Uzumaki, as apparently they had trouble using the regular illusion clone, so he put that aside to look over later as well, since it said that it passed along anything it learned. He figured even if it was just his chakra and not magic it shared, he could still use it to read books on magic, but he would experiment to see what his could do. Harry, if I can unlock my chakra, I'm going to learn their way of healing. From the way these scrolls describe it, most people over their teen years can't unlock them, but my having magic should allow me to do so. I'm going to try it tomorrow, I think, since if I can mix the two styles I should be able to heal just about anything it seems like. Andromeda was just about bouncing in excitement which he had never seen before. He hoped she could do what she wanted. If I can do it tonight, I'll help you with it tomorrow or explain what I did and you can try yourself. Harry said with a laugh before he went back to reading. Once he was done sorting out the miscellaneous table, he had read a good 200 scrolls on history and about 120 on just random things. He was surprised as he could still remember everything he had read. That must be what having a eidetic memory was all about. He had 6 scrolls put aside he figured he should start on before going any further. He decided to start with trying to recognize his chakra, so he told Andromeda he was going to head to his room and why before saying goodnight as it was getting late. Once in his room, he quickly got ready for bed before sitting on his bed in a meditative pose before searching inside himself for what they described. At first he could see a large pulsing light that once he touched it, he identified as his magic, so he reached out and touched it with a loving caress almost, but when that happened his magic flared brightly before pulling him in the middle like a warm hug. He sat there in peace for a while before deciding to meditate inside his magic. His magic had always helped him, it was a part of him, so he figured inside his magic or not, he would still find his chakra, which became apparent almost 20 minutes later. At first it was almost like a small blue pool before it came into focus, and he could see the pathways it took through his body before coming back to a large pool right in his middle. He did the same as before with his magic and reached out to touch it, and he could feel it welcome him curiously almost. He could almost feel sand beneath his feet and wind-blowing mist from the sea in his face on a hot summer day, feel the electricity in the air from an oncoming thunderstorm and the shadows blocking the sun as they moved past. It was a wonderful feeling, one he would like to repeat in real life. As he familiarized himself with his chakra, he realized the feelings he got from it were his elemental affinities. He could use all 5 regular nature affinities, which from what he read was rare but not impossible, as well as the Nara shadows. What he didn't know was that while he was reaching his magic then chakra there was a 3-mile radius that was treated to the same feelings he had almost. The elves were grateful as they got a large boost of magic that they desperately needed since they hadn't had a master in so long, and his magic wrapped itself around them, seeming to fill them completely and renewing the bond before backing off and charging the wards which unbeknownst to them had been getting low and ready to fall. It even gave a boost to the magical animals and plants nearby that were slowly dying out as they were being born or grown with lower properties of magic, and this would fix that. Even bring back extinct species that used to be in the area. When his chakra mixed in with it, the plants seemed to grow faster, the water cleaner and the earth healthier. It was amazing to all who witnessed it as Andromeda had been looking out the window and the outside elves called the rest to see what was happening. As Harry slowly backed out of his chakra there was what sounded like hundreds of firecrackers going off in the yard, but it turned out to be hundreds of elves, almost all of them in poor condition or almost dead from magic loss, whose magic directed them to come here and bond with a wizard with a strong magic. When Harry was back completely in his magic, he suddenly felt what seemed like 500 little hands grab a hold of him before hugging his magic. Before he could get worried he heard what sounded like Phoenix song, before seeing Frog's flame in front of him, singing to him to calm him before what seemed like showing him pictures of what was happening. The earth and animals and water getting healthier, the wards and his elves sucking up the magic he was letting off, and the large group of sick or dying elves that needed to bond with someone to survive. Once he saw that he let his magic go, wanting to help them and heal them like he had been healed. All of a sudden Frox was joined by 6 others who all sang of joy and peace and love before seemingly blending into his magic until he could actually feel their emotions, understand their song. They had bonded to him. All of them. When he asked why, Frox showed him flashes of his life, the good things he did, and explained that even though he had been abused and hurt and betrayed, he was still so pure even having killed during the war. He did it to protect, understanding that sometimes you have to do things you don't like to do good, and that when he is told about something needing help like the elves, he didn't even have to think about it. He just helped them to help. Once he could no longer feel the elves drawing on his magic, he eased out of it to end his meditation before slowly opening his eyes and walking to the window staring out in amazement. There were elves as far as he could see, so he walked outside to speak with them before he went to bed for the night. "Hello, my name is Harry Potter, and the Phoenix Frox just told me you all bonded to me, is that correct?" The elves all looked around quickly before a very old elf came forward, seemingly elected to be their spokesman. "Yes, Lord Potter, I am Ray. We were all on the verge of death before our magic directed us here as we need a bond to live, and a lot of us lost our masters in the war or were given clothes because our masters were angry with us. That's horrible. Do you all need a place to stay?" "Yes, Lord Potter, we do." "Okay, let me think for a few minutes and we will get this sorted out for the night, at least until we can plan better tomorrow," Harry said before conjuring a chair to sit on, closing his eyes to think. "Are you able to conjure yourselves beds for the night?" Harry didn't know much about elves, so he figured he would as what he needed to know for now. "Yes, Lord Potter." "Okay, here is what we will do for now. Everyone will go in and get something to eat and clean yourselves up. I'll give Petal some money to go get a bunch of fabric so you can all make yourselves some clothes either tonight or tomorrow. Just make whatever you would like to wear and then conjure beds in any room in the house except the ones in use or the library to sleep for the night. If you need to shrink the furniture in them, go ahead, just make a cabinet and label whatever room it was in before and put it in there for now. I'm sure we will have room for everyone even if it is a tight fit. If needed we can always use bunk beds to double up on space," Harry said before conjuring a bunk bed so they could see what it was if they didn't know. "Petal, come here please." "Yes, Master Harry." Petal said, popping in front of him. "Please go get all the elves from inside, I'd like them to hear this too, unless it's the young ones asleep." "Yes, Master Harry." Petal said before popping away and coming back a few minutes later with another 300 elves. "Okay, this is something I was going to talk to you all about later, so we may as well do it now since we've just gained a much bigger elf family. Tomorrow I'm going to look around the area inside the wards and see if we can find a place to build a little village for you all, unless you know some place that will work. I know many people consider elves slaves or servants, but I would like to give you the choice." If you don't want to work for me, that is fine, as long as you all keep my secrets. You are all free to live here with no threat of receiving clothes and live your own lives. The only thing I would ask is you help with the upkeep of the castle and grounds, and I will pay you for your services with that, but I will also open a vault tomorrow with the goblins that any Potter family elf can access that will have a startup of 10 million, which should be enough to purchase enough supplies to build a village and furnish it along with anything else you all may need. I will also go get you all the language learners that I just purchased for the elves here, so you can all speak proper English as well as the other languages. Please let me know tomorrow how many of you there are, as well as a list of who would like to work and who would like to just live their lives here with the other elves. If any of you know any other elves who need a home, please bring them here tomorrow night and I'll bond with them as well, even if they aren't dying from low magic. Does that sound like it works for you all? It seemed like every elf there was in shock. They could believe there was a wizard that would do this for them. A home, food, clothes of their own. Free to live and not follow orders. It was a dream for many of them. Even if they were still working, they were being paid for it with money they could access anytime they needed it and not have to grovel or beg for things they needed. Yes, Lord Potter. Ray said with a smile. He knew one thing for sure, they would all be extremely loyal to this wizard. Excellent. I'm going to head in and get to bed. I will call you Petal in a few minutes with money to get you all anything you need. Clothing, potions, food, toiletries or whatever else. So while I do that, Ray, if you would take a head count and note down names, specialties and anything needed for now on a list so somebody can get it, okay, as this will help us organize tomorrow. Also put a star next to them if they still would like to be called on to help me with things I may need. Harry said before heading inside. Yes sir, Lord Potter. Ray said before telling the elves to get in 10 lines and calling up a few more elves to help write everything down. Once Harry was in his room, he grabbed his wallet before conjuring a bag before adding a bottomless charm to it and calling for 1,000 from his Potter vault, letting the coins fall from his wallet into the bag, which took a few minutes before he did it 54 more times. That way they had plenty of money and it wasn't dependent on just one elf doing the shopping. It took him close to an hour to finish before he conjured a box, putting all the pouches inside it before calling for Petal. Yes, Master Harry. Petal, there are 55 money bags here, each one has 1,000 inside it, so different elves can be sent to different places to get the shopping done quicker. If you need more, come wake me up, alright? Yes, Master Harry. What time do you want breakfast in the morning? We already put all the laundry away earlier, so all the clothes are clean, the castle is clean and grounds tended to, and since tomorrow will probably be very busy, do you have a time you would prefer meals? Petal knew she was being very forward and disrespectful, but she didn't think this master would mind. Thank you for that, I know it was a lot of clothes, you all got that done very quickly. How about we set meal times at 8 AM, 1 PM and 6 PM, and if we aren't ready to eat, it can just be kept under a warming and stasis charm. It might be a good idea to select some of the elves and set them to cooking for a buffet-style meal you can set up for all the elves in the ballroom or outside depending on the weather, as there are going to be a lot of hungry elves tomorrow. The only thing I would request is the name of an elf that can bring tea or other drinks when asked. Yes, sir. Just call for flour when you're ready to eat or need drinks. I will let Mistress Andromeda know as well since she's still awake, and I'll get it all sorted out, since you are right, it is a lot of elves. Petal giggled before popping off with the box of money. Harry figured he still could never do normal, but since he was still awake, he grabbed a scroll that talked about the clones, thinking he would need all the help he could get tomorrow, before sitting back reading everything he could about it and practicing the hand sign, making sure he had everything correct before standing in the middle of his room shadow clone jutsu. What amazed him was standing in front of him was a perfect copy of himself as he circled it, poking it before he decided to see if it could access his magic, telling it to see if it cloned his wand, which it did before telling it to levitate a pillow from the bed, and lo and behold it could. This was fantastic. They might have a lot to do tomorrow, but this would help get everything done quickly. He quickly punched the clone, watching it dispel before getting the memories of it being poked and prodded from its point of view. He could now study everything and he would have plenty of time. This was amazing, but he knew he needed to get some sleep to keep his health, so he quickly laid down and went to bed looking forward to the next day. When Harry woke the next day, he quickly finished his morning routine before sitting down to read the other scrolls marked Chakra Control, Walk on Water, Up Trees and Buildings. It was almost like having superpowers like Superman, but looking at the time he figured he had some time to practice as it's only 6 AM, so he got a warm shirt on and headed outside to one of the large trees surrounding the house before laying on the ground in front of it with his feet touching the base. Okay Harry, you can do this. It says to will your chakra to the end of your feet. Too much and you fly off and not enough and you fall. You can do it. Harry kept muttering under his breath before he slowly started up the tree, 1 foot, 2 foot up and up and up until he got to the top before turning around and going back down. He was amazed at being able to do something like this. Once he went up and down the tree 30 times he headed over to the small lake nearby, before reading the scroll again, before taking a few small steps out on the water which at first was very wobbly, but he soon had that down as well. He saw a few elves outside pointing and whispering, but didn't pay them too much attention. Once he could run back and forth across the lake 30 times he decided to head inside, figuring his control was as good as the goblins had said it was. It certainly was a different feeling to use it than it was to use his magic. Once inside he took a quick look at the clock which showed it was close to 7:45, so he jumped into the shower and changing into some nice clothes so he could head to the bank this morning, making sure to grab his wallet before heading down to the dining room for breakfast. He knew the elves would want to report to him before he left to the bank to set up a vault for them. "Breakfast Master Harry, sir," Petal said, popping in with his food and placing it on the table along with his potion. "Thank you, Petal. Did you get everything sorted out last night?" Harry was curious now. "Yes, sir. We have 1091 elves. 200 children and 100 elderly. We used 9215 last night so have plenty left for now. There is a large unoccupied area about a mile from here under the wards that would be a good place for the carpenter elves to start building on," she said nervously. She knew he said something last night about them building homes, but wasn't sure if he was still willing to do that. "Wow. Okay, that's great. Go ahead and start with the money you have and I'll head to the bank after I eat to set up the vault." Harry was surprised but pleased the elves were speaking their minds with him. "Yes, sir," Petal said before popping away. About 5 minutes after Petal left, Andromeda came in the room with Teddy and sat at the table. Once she sat down an elf popped in with a high chair and breakfast for the both of them before popping away again and coming back with a tea set for them both and left quickly. "What was all that last night, Harry? Everything went crazy not long after you went in your room." "Well, that's kind of hard to explain. You remember when I said I was going to try to find my chakra?" "Yes, of course. Well, when I first started I found my magic first. When that happened I touched my magic and it expanded to where I was in the middle of it, like it was hugging me almost, which come to find out I was radiating magic and the elves and wards got the boost they needed to survive. I didn't know it, but the wards were very weak and the elves needed to rebond to me and this let that happen. It even gave the magical animals and plants around the house a boost, or I was told. Once that was over I meditated inside my magic and found my chakra. The same thing happened, except it was the earth itself and the water nearby. When I was leaving my chakra to end the mediation, I suddenly felt 500 or so beings seemingly grab my magic and I started to panic, and when that happened I suddenly had Fox in my magic with me explaining what happened and that the beings grabbing my magic were elves that were dying from their bonds being broken. When I agreed to help them another 6 phoenixes showed up and they all bonded to me as well." Harry tried to explain as best as he could, but even he didn't understand all of it. "What are you going to do with that many elves? I doubt there is enough work for them to do here." She had never even heard of that many elves. The most she knew of was at Hogwarts, and they ran the kitchen and cleaned, but that was still only 200 of them. "Well, apparently there is a large clearing about a mile away from here inside the wards, so I told them to make themselves a little village. If they didn't want to work for me that's fine, but they would still need to help with the upkeep of the castle and grounds. Some of them said they still want to serve, but I'm not going to make them, so I assume they will be taking turns. I'm going to head to Gringotts and open a vault for them to draw from to pay for supplies and anything they need." "Wow, well I suppose that would work. I also learned to walk up trees and across water this morning and how to make clones of myself, so I'm going to send some to the library before I leave to study both magic and chakra, since they send everything they learn back to me, so it will give me an advantage on getting caught up on everything." "Okay, thanks for letting me know, that would have been very startling to see. Make one to take care of Teddy for a while today too, please. When are you leaving?" "Sure, I can do that. I'm leaving after breakfast. Would you like to come?" Harry didn't know what she wanted to do today. "No, I'm going to stay here and keep looking through the scrolls since your clone will be with Teddy. You might want to head back to the mall and pick up some of the trunks we saw yesterday with the multiple compartments to sort them out. They can be put up as we read through them," Andromeda said after a little bit of thought. "Okay, I will. I was thinking of how to store them and that will work. I'll see if they can make them library trunks or rooms that can store scrolls." Harry wasn't sure what was possible, so he would probably drive the salesman crazy with questions. The only good part about them all was he wasn't stared at or mobbed while he was there, unlike in Diagon Alley. "Okay, you go ahead and do that and I'll see you later," Andromeda said after a bit of silence. "Okay, I'll see you both later. If you need something hit one of the clones and it will disappear and send me the memory." Harry said before heading to the library and making 175 clones, figuring 10 per subject magical and chakra would be enough and 10 to head outside for control, and the extra 5 he sent back downstairs for Teddy or to talk to Andromeda before apparating away to the apparition spot next to the bank before quickly walking inside and going to the first free teller he saw. May your gold always flow. May I please see my account manager Griphook please? Harry said to the goblin once he had finally been acknowledged by the surly being. One moment. The goblin quickly wrote something down before going back to whatever it was doing before he interrupted. Lord Potter, follow me please. Griphook said as he walked into the lobby before quickly leaving again. Griphook started heading the same way they had before and soon enough he was in front of Ragnarok's office before he knocked and led them inside. Harry, how can I help you today? Ragnarok asked when he saw who was walking into his office. Well, that's a long story. I need to open a vault with 55 million inside it, with Griphook making investments with 5 million of it to keep it making money. The vault will need 2 keys that will be held by Potter elves. Elves Lord Potter? Now this was definitely not something he had heard about before. May I ask why? Well, I gained a lot of elves last night. With that said, Harry started explaining what happened for the second time that day. I now have an elf family of 1091 elves. Well, let's get started on that then. Would you like our help building houses for them all? We can design some cottages, apartments and maybe some stores for them to trade things in since I know a lot of elves have specialties and can make clothing or other things like that. Can I call them and ask? I figure it would be best to ask them since it will be their homes. Ragnarok didn't think he could get any more impressed with this man, but he was. Yes, let me call the architect that will work on this as well, so while I explain to him you explain the elves. Ragnarok said before writing out a message in a book on his desk. Petal, Ray. Yes Lord Potter sir? Ray asked curiously when he noticed he was in the bank, in the director's office no less. The Goblin Nation has offered to help design and build the village for us. What do you think about that, or do you all want to do it yourselves? May we go talk to the other elves? Ray asked after quickly and quietly speaking to Petal. Yes of course. Also if they agree to let the goblins help make a list of how many apartments or cottages we would need. We can always expand and build more later, but I don't know how many we should start with. They also offered to build stores for you to trade or sell anything you make. Okay Master Harry. Give us 20 minutes. Petal asked thinking about how many she would need to speak with. Maybe just call everyone together. Okay Petal. Just come to me when you both know and you can both sit with the architect to plan it all out if that's what you decide okay. Yes sir. Once the elves were gone he turned his attention back to Ragnarok who was sitting behind his desk chuckling. He also spotted a large trunk next to him on the floor but didn't pay much mind to it, figuring it was something of the director's. Okay when they come back, these are the vault keys for them to use. They have an enchantment on them that they will copy themselves until all elves have one, but if they are picked up by any human that's not you or an elf that's not a Potter or Black, then that copy will disappear. You need to touch them first, then when the elves come back they can pick them up and I will explain to them. Each key will have a limit of 10 a week after this first month, with the 2 master keys having a 100 limit for emergencies which they will need to explain to Griphook, and if more is needed they can request it, such as medical bills or if they need more housing. Does that work for you? That sounds fine to me. With Griphook investing they shouldn't run out of money, and from what Andromeda told me that is comparable to a human's weekly wage, plus I'm sure if they do make things they could always request a store in a Muller alley that can sell anything they make to either keep the income or put it back in the vault. I know some said they wanted to keep working for me, but some also just want to live their lives as they wish, so they are free to do anything they want, so it is an option for them. Harry said after some thought on it. Plus, if they can glamour themselves to look human, they could always run a cleaning company in the Muggle world and make a killing, since I found a store in the mall that sells language memories that will teach all languages and to speak correctly, so that won't be an issue much longer. Oh? Where is that? We could use something like that for the humans that work for us as well, since goblins can mind transfer languages, but humans can't. Ragnarok really wanted to know this since it would help them a lot. They send human workers into foreign counties all the time, and finding someone who speaks the language there is a pain sometimes. The Westfield Stratford Mall on the 3rd floor in a little odds and ends store. If you want to send somebody with me, I'm heading there after I leave here to purchase more of them and see about getting some trunks made to store my mother's scrolls. I did have a few questions for you about the elemental nations as well if you have time. Harry explained. I think I will come with you after this, see if we can't set up something with them, since we have a lot of employees and this is too good of a thing to pass by. Ragnarok wanted to see this mall. He had never been there before, so it would be a new experience. Sure. From what Andromeda said, most stores there are run and owned by Muggle born or raised, so it's a lot better than the alley in my opinion. I see, maybe we will see if we can invest in the stores there then. Now what were your questions? You said you go to the elemental nations and look for things, how do you get there and back? Andromeda and I are planning on going to check on my nephew you said was an orphan, but we aren't positive we are going to stay yet. We wanted to check it out first if possible. Ah, we actually have a deal with the Sandom Hokage that lets us come and go from his village. We made permanent port keys for us to use with his permission, otherwise we have to find our way by boat and then find a weak spot in the wards to squeeze in and out from. Ragnarok still thought they were lucky they got that deal. Hokage, that's Konoha, correct? Yes, it's also where your nephew Naruto lives. If you want we can clear it with the Hokage for us to go speak to him Monday and see if we can't get you papers and permission for the three of you to live there. I'll have to provide all your inheritance tests for proof of your claims beforehand. The one thing they don't know is that elves can pop back and forth, so if you do stay, you can always send them to pick up things like potion ingredients and things. Andromeda is a healer, correct? Yes, please do that. You have my permission to tell him anything he would like to know. I'll also let him to his own tests if he absolutely has to, since I know he may be skeptical. Harry was ecstatic that it was all starting to work out. Yes, she is a healer. From my knowledge she specializes in general and trauma healing. From what Tonks told me about her job, she did anything from colds to regrowing missing limbs. She told me before the war started she was training to be certified in all fields beyond the basics, and I think she finished, but I'm not positive. I know she was excited to look through the medical scrolls my mother had since she said she wanted to try and unlock her chakra since her magic would not allow it to harm her and it would give her another way to heal. I could be wrong though, I'd have to ask her, but that is what I was told by Tonks when she was alive. They would love her if that's the case. They lose so many shinobi from injuries they can't heal, but we can. Even simple blood replenishing potion would be life-saving for them, so if you brush up on your potion making skills while she does healing, it would be a surefire way to be accepted most likely. Ragnarok explained helpfully. He really did want to see this young man happy and he had a feeling he would be happy there. When we get back today I'll head over and speak to them. They might request I bring a shinobi back with me to get to know you all before you go to them though, so you might want to get a room ready as a precaution. I can do that. I figured out how to use a clone jutsu in my mother's scrolls that said it was a gift for the Uzumaki from the Nidaime Hokage that lets me use both my chakra and magic with it and anything the clone experiences so do I, so I was planning on using it to study everything I could while I had time. I have some at home studying right now actually. Okay, keep doing that and you will be master level in everything in no time. Ragnarok was amazed, he knew they could make clones, but the way Harry was using them would let him learn everything he wanted in months instead of years. I also have everything on the elemental nations you asked for in the trunk next to you. I had a few of our scribes work on it to get it done quickly, so you can also go through it when you get home. Thank you Ragnarok, I wasn't expecting it until next week. I'll be sure to start looking through it tonight. Now Harry couldn't wait to get home since they had more current information. Before they could talk any more about it the elves popped back in with their answer, it seemed as they bounced in place waiting to be acknowledged. Petal, Ray, what has been decided? Master Harry, sir, we decided to let the goblins do the building. Okay, so that's what we will do then. Ragnarok. Let me call the architect and he will take you both down to design the village you will be living in, but first here are the keys to the vault. Ragnarok quickly wrote in his book before he then explained to the elves how everything would work with the vault and that there was no limit this first month and since it would only take about 3 days to have all the buildings finished, they should furnish and decorate their houses as they were made and assigned, as well as making sure they had buildings for food supplies and things and stocking them completely since it would be easier now than trying to do it later, but if they needed an extra month to speak with Griphook as he would be going with them and could advise them as needed. Thank you director. There was a sharp knock at a door suddenly that made the elves jump before it opened and another goblin walked in. You called for me director? Yes architect, I need you to take Petal and Ray here and help them design a village for 1200 elves as I'm sure more will show up. Don't worry about cost as Lord Potter is paying, but the elves are in charge with you and Griphook aiding them. Just make sure you plan to allow the village to grow as I'm sure some of them will be having families or want shops of their own, so make sure you plan for every eventuality. Yes sir. Now this would be a challenge. The architect never had to build an elf village before. Follow me. Once the elves and Griphook left Ragnarok stood and suddenly shimmered to look like a middle-aged man. Shall we go? He couldn't help but be curious about this mall they were going to. Of course. I'll make us a port key when we get outside or I can apparate us there. Harry quickly followed the director out of his office to the front of the bank. Apparition please. I've never used human apparition before, but I've heard people complain about it, so I'll try it. Ragnarok decided after a while. Harry chuckled since he knew side-along apparition sucked, but he didn't mind taking him that way. Sure, just grab my arm. It helps if you close your eyes and take a quick breath in and hold it. Okay. Ragnar grabbed his arm quickly. Ready. But the twist and pop, they were gone and landing in the appropriate spot in the mall. Oh, that was horrible. Ragnar said after a few choice words in gobbledygook. Now I see why they always complain. Yeah, it's not much better even when you're the one doing the apparating, but you get used to it. The store is this way. Would you like to look around some first? Yes, I think I would. Ragnar was looking around and saw many different stores. He knew there were investment opportunities to be had here, and he would be giving Harry a share of any profits for showing him this place, even if he didn't tell him that. They walked around going in every store and looking around and what they sold, each of them buying things that caught their eye along the way. Once they got to the store that sold the language learners, they went inside and asked to speak to the owner, which happened to be the woman behind the counter. She recognized Harry from yesterday as she usually never had such a big purchase. How can I help you gentlemen today? I need to place an order for another 2,500 of your language learners. Harry said with a smile, watching her mouth fall open. Okay, I have that in stock, but out of curiosity may I ask why? Sure, I ended up bonding to a lot of elves last night, so I'm giving them each one so they can speak properly. I'm also going to give enough to Hogwarts for their elves, students and teachers, and let the headmistress know where to get more, as I know a lot of students want to learn another language but never have the time. Plus it will be good to have extras in case I need them for any reason, as they would make good gifts. Harry explained and ended with a laugh. Okay, I can definitely do that. I'll give you a 10% discount as well since you're ordering so many. Thank you. Harry quickly paid the 45,000 she asked for with his card before calling Creature to take all the vials back to the house, explaining they were the same as last night and to pass them out to the elves that hadn't gotten one before putting the spares in his room. Yes, Master Harry. Creature said before leaving with the first set of crates before coming back for more till they were all gone. Now how can I help you, sir? She asked, looking at Ragnar. I also have a large order for you. I need 5,500 of them and if possible have them delivered to Gringotts Bank. I can do that, but we'll need about an hour to complete the order. When would you like them delivered by? She was unable to believe the amount these men were buying, but was grateful since not a lot of people bought them or could even afford them. How about tomorrow morning at 8 a.m? Ragnar was going to the Elemental Nations tonight for Harry, which would be morning their time, so he figured this would be best. That's doable. It will be 100,000 even with a 10% discount. Thank you. Ragnar said as he quickly used the card he carried to pay before they exited the shop before deciding to finish looking around. Once they got to the trunk shop, they went in to see what they sold and pricing. It was $290 for a 13-compartment trunk with scroll shelving, which wasn't too bad. They would walk down a ladder into a large room that held expanding shelving for books and scrolls, along with a reading table with chairs in each section, along with a fireplace with charms to vanish smoke and to prevent the fire from leaving the fireplace, with lighting charms to give it a warm, homey appearance. They sold trunks with potion labs and apartments and anything else he could think of, but decided to get 2 of the library trunks for now. He could use one for magic and one for chakra to keep things organized. After paying $580 for the trunks, he quickly shrank them down and stored them in his pocket before they exited the store to keep looking. After they made their way completely around the floor, Ragnar said he was going to head back to the bank to get ready to speak to the Sandom, and he would contact him tomorrow with his answer, but to be prepared for a guest to stay with him for at least a week before leaving by using a portkey to his office. He quickly dropped his glamour and sat at his desk. He had a lot to write down. So many investment opportunities. Goblins might be warriors, but they were bankers now and there is money to be had. Once Ragnar left, Harry grabbed a quick lunch since he missed lunch at the manor before using his portkey back to tell Andromeda about his day. Shopping with the director of Gringotts, he wondered if she would believe him, he thought with a chuckle. When Harry arrived home, he quickly made his way to his room to get changed into some comfortable clothes before heading to the library with the trunk from Ragnar to meet up with Andromeda to see what she had found while he was gone. "Andy, I'm back," Harry called out when he didn't see her at her desk in the library. "I'm over here, Harry." He heard from the chairs next to the fireplace, so he changed direction to head over to her. "How did it go?" "Quite well. The goblins are building the houses for the elves and set up a way for them to each have a vault key, so they are handling all of that themselves now. Ragnar gave me the information on the Elemental Nations he promised, even if I wasn't expecting it until next week sometime. He said he was going to go speak to the Hokage tonight about getting us portkeys to Konoha, since that is where my nephew is, and they have a deal that lets goblins portkey in and out from there with his permission, otherwise they have to work a hole in the ward surrounding the place to get in and out. He said they might send someone to stay with us for a while to evaluate us before we are allowed to go there to stay. He advised me to brush up on my potion making skills, since that will help us get in the door a lot quicker, and advised they would be highly interested in your healing capabilities, since what we can treat and fix they cannot, such as regrowing limbs and things like that. Yeah, I've noticed that in the medical scrolls you have. It seems their shinobi lose limbs quite frequently and are out of work after that. Plus our blood replenishing would save so many of them. Yeah, that's what Ragnarok said as well, so you wouldn't run out of work if we went, and I was never bad at potions when Snape wasn't a teacher. Well, that's something to stock up on at least. Now let's see what he sent you with. Harry stood and sat the trunk down in front of him, enlarging it before opening it, and seeing the ladder he quickly headed down to see what was there with Andromeda following him once they hit the floor. They quickly began looking and it seemed it was all sorted for them, so the earliest or easiest was on top, with most relevant now or hardest on the bottom, so Andromeda went back to the library, while Harry decided to go through the history section, maybe he could find out what happened to Kushina and her husband Minato. He pulled a chair over next to the history section and started at the top and decided to work his way down. He knew Uzushiogakure, which was his mother's village, was destroyed sometime after the First Shinobi World War, but their record stopped after that, plus they might be missing some information as it looked like they had just taken the family scrolls, and that was it. Most of them were on Fuinjutsu, so that's what he assumed at least. He found after Uzushio was destroyed, Kano had declared war on the nations that attacked them and won. Some scarce information lead to the Third Shinobi War, and there he learned about Konoha's red-hot habanero and the yellow flash, which turned out to be Kushina and Minato, then Minato's rise to being Hokage, then the night he knew was little Naruto's birth, and the Kyuubi attack that lead to Kushina, Minato and thousands of others dying. The next scroll was marked S-Rank Confidential, so he didn't think it should be there, but he knew the goblins wouldn't include it for nothing. S-Rank Confidential. The Kyuubi attack was aided by a man in an orange mask who extracted Kyuubi from Kushina Uzumaki during the birth of her son, which resulted in her death. Kyuubi was later seen with a Sharingan in its eyes during the attack on Konoha. Yondam Hokage Minato Namikaze resealed Kyuubi and their son Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze with a Reaper death seal, which resulted in his death. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze will now be known by Naruto Uzumaki and his heritage hidden until he is 18, a jonin or a family member becomes known. By order of the Sandom Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi and the Fire Daimyo. After reading that, Harry was appalled. He had a feeling his nephew was treated similar to how the Dursleys treated him. He quickly took a few deep breaths before he kept reading to present day. He now had a good idea of the climate there. Not at war, but not completely good terms either. He knew he would be seriously vetted to be allowed near his little nephew, from the way history talked about the demon vessels or Jinchuriki as they called them. He had a feeling there was a prophecy in play as well, but he wouldn't let that stop him. He was not going to let him be raised like he was if he could do anything about it. He made a few clones to go through the rest of the scrolls before grabbing the S-rank scroll before heading up to show it to Andromeda. To say she was appalled was sugarcoating it. She was now adamant they either move there or bring him here. She had no arguments from him. He had a feeling he would be hindered in some way as well, like he had been, but since they used seals, he would need to seriously study those to be able to break them, as he didn't think the goblins would be able to. The good news is they should still show up on a medical scan like was used on him, which Andy said she could do. They are going to learn everything they can about us before they even think about letting us near him. I know Ragnarok said they might send someone to stay with us for a while as well, so we need to be prepared for that as well. I think we can handle that. The most they will find out that I know of is about the war, but I have a feeling they understand war better than we do. You have a point there. Hopefully everything works out, but I know Ragnarok said he was going to speak to their Hokage tonight, so I'm sure we will find out tomorrow. I'm sure it will all turn out okay. At this point it will just require patience and honesty, so just take a couple deep breaths and let's keep reading. Thanks, Andy. Harry said with a grateful smile. He was glad she was here for him. I don't know what I'd do without you. Sure you so, you'd be going crazy with worry. Andromeda said with a smile and laugh. Ha ha ha. Such a comedian you are. Harry said before sticking his tongue out at her before going back to his reading. A small pop made him look up to see Creature standing in front of him. Yes, Creature. Can I help you with something? I don't want to be a bad elf, but Creature was hesitant to ask Harry if he could stay with the other elves too. He was a black elf, not a Potter elf, but he didn't know how to ask. Harry saw Creature was upset about something, and it didn't take him long to figure out what. You want to live with the other elves? Yes, master. Creature said while wringing his hands in his clothing. You can if you like. When I made the plans I included you in them. You are bound to me just as they are, so Potter or black, it doesn't matter. I made the plans for any elf that bound themselves to me. Would you like to continue working for me or just go live your life with the elves? I want to work, Master Harry. Creature was sure about that. He didn't care if there were tons of elves, he was Master Harry's personal elf, and he would stay that way. Okay, then you will stay my personal elf, but you may live with the others. Any elf who wants to work can work. It is up to the elf on what they would like to do. Harry explained to the worried elf. Go get yourself one of the vault keys and pick a home. Any plans that are made for the elves will include you as well, okay? After you are done doing that, I'm going to need you to set up a room on next to Andromeda and I. We will most likely having a guest from the elemental nation soon, as I found I have a nephew there that is an orphan, so I might be either moving or visiting there to check on him. If I do, I will talk it over with you and the other elves to see who wants to go. Any who do will still get their own space, okay? Thank you, Master Harry. Right away. Creature was now ecstatic. He got his own home and was still able to work. Harry decided it was probably time to dispel his clones, since it was close to dinner, so he made 2 new clones, gave one instructions to go to Teddy and to take care of him and not dispel, the other was ordered to dispel, as that would let the rest of the clones know to dispel in 10-minute intervals by subject, starting with the clones with Teddy, then the chakra control clones outside, then the ones inside the library. The ones inside the trunk were to stay there. Harry quickly leaned back in his chair and started his meditation techniques to help his mind cope with all the information about to come in. It only took about a minute longer before he started getting memories of playing with Teddy and watching him sleep. Next, he could feel his chakra shift slightly, seemingly to run smoother, as he got memories of trying different chakra control exercises throughout the day. Next, he started getting the memories of sitting and reading about seals and the different chakra-based techniques. He couldn't believe the things chakra was capable of. These techniques would have helped so much in the war, but he didn't want to imagine the chaos if the dark side had gotten a hold of even one of them or the betrayers, since he knew he would have taught them anything he knew at that point. While he was thinking on the versatility of chakra, he started getting the memories of his magical studies. Apparently his clones decided to practice as they read, as he learned dozens of spells for each classification. He would have to talk to Andromeda, but he focused only on his magical studies. Tomorrow he should be able to get his newts at the end of the week, since his clones had decided to study from first year up and had gotten through what he should have learned each year until his 7th. He still wanted to keep studying since Ragnarok did say he could get his masteries, so he would see how long it took him to get through the books and spells before he decided if he wanted to sit the tests for just his newts or both his newts and masteries, since the clones made studying and practice easy. Finally, all the clones had finished dispelling, so Harry opened his eyes to find his dinner on the table, along with a pain potion, which would help get rid of the headache he ended up with because of the clones. After dinner, Harry decided if he was going to study, he would ask Creature to go pick up some potion supplies for all levels before going to bed. It had been a long day so far, and the scroll did say the clones would be fine while he slept. Creature? Harry called out to thin air. Yes, Master Harry. Will you go to Diagon Alley for me and pick up 20 potion kits of every level from first year to master level, please, along with any cauldrons or other supplies I might need. Harry decided to start with potions because of Ragnarok's recommendation, though it couldn't be called his favorite subject. He quickly conjured a bag before adding the necessary charms on it to hold a large amount before placing 10,000 into it. There is 10,000 here, so just hold on to what's left, as I'm going to have clones of myself working on potions tonight while I'm asleep. Just place everything in the potions lab and one of them will take care of it, okay? Yes, Master Harry. Creature said before popping away. Andromeda, I'm going to go to bed. If you need anything, I'm going to have clones running around the house, so just speak to one of them, okay? Harry said as he stood with a yawn. Sure, Harry, good night. Andy barely even looked up from the medical scroll she was reading at this point, so Harry just shrugged before making 300 clones to read in the library and then making 20 to head down to the potion labs before he all but collapsed on his bed and falling asleep. The next morning, Harry woke up to an owl at the window waiting to be let in, so he quickly got up and opened the window to let him in. If your master needs a reply, then stay behind, please. I'll be with you in a few minutes. Harry told the owl as he took the letter and placed it on his bed before going to get a quick shower and changing his clothes. Once he was done, he walked back to his bed and grabbed the letter, noting that the owl stayed behind and quickly read it. Harry. I talked to the Sandom Hokage last night and he looked over all the inheritance papers we gave him as well as your family tree. He said he knew Kushina had older 2 sisters but thought that her family had perished with the fall of Uzushio, but he is glad they did not. I had to explain to him your history as the hero of the wizarding world and the findings on your medical report for why you want to leave England and the fact that you have an active chakra network as well as your mother's scrolls from her clan compound in Uzushio. He said he would like to meet you today and he will most likely be sending somebody to stay with you for at least a week due to the Elder Council, who will push to deny the claims of relation. From what I gathered there is one elder who wants to use your nephew like Dumbledore used you, so this is just a precaution to make him quiet. He also said that any potions and healing you and Andromeda would like to do once you're there will be very welcome and will also quiet the council. I am going to be running the tests on Naruto tonight before he meets you to make sure both inherent ancestors show as the same thing. This will also allow him the chance to see if they can locate any of Naruto's father's family, as he was an orphan that was born during the Second Shinobi War and he has an idea of who they are but needs confirmation to call them home. If you can be here at 8 p.m. we will head over there to meet with him. I advise you to bring some healing potions and salves to help pave the way. Yours sincerely. Ragnarok. Ragnarok. I can agree to all of that as it seems he's just trying to protect the child which I cannot find fault with. I have a room ready for whomever he decides to send and he will have full access to the castle and grounds so he can do any information gathering or any searches he would like. I will also allow him to look through the scrolls my mother had as long as I have their word they will not be copied. I will be there at 7:30 if you can have a healer check the potions I bring to verify they are correct and of a good quality, I would appreciate it immensely as I don't want to provide them substandard quality or dangerous potions. I will have Andromeda check them as well, but I figure they will prefer your healers certify them since they know you. Yours sincerely. Harry Potter. Harry quickly penned his response before heading down for a quick breakfast before he planned on checking on his clones in the potions lab. He didn't have any memory of them dispelling so they must still be added. Andromeda was already in the kitchen with Teddy and his clone, so he dispelled the clone before he sat down to eat, noticing that the clone took care of Teddy all night so Andromeda was able to sleep. Ragnarok sent me a letter this morning. I will be going to meet the Hokage tonight. He advised me to bring any potions and salves I was able to create with me, so I was hoping you would look them over for me before I go. He also said we will be having a guest for at least a week, but he isn't sure on who just yet. Harry said in between bites of his breakfast. Sure, we can head down to the lab after breakfast and I will look over everything you have. Thanks. After breakfast Harry quickly provided a clone to take Teddy back upstairs to play and they headed down to the lab to see what kind of progress had been made. When they got down there Harry informed the clones when they finished what they were working on to dispel and he would make new ones, he didn't want to chance them being around any longer than 12 hours, especially around potions as any mistake can be costly. It looks like they got through all the Hogwarts potions Harry. They are all very well made. Hospital quality at least. It looks like they just started on the potions you are required for a mastery in potions. Andromeda filled him in as she looked everything over. Since all the clones were at a good stopping point, he quickly dispelled them before making new ones to take over as he sorted through the memories of making all the potions. He now had 300 of each potion from 1st to 7th year all clearly labeled, so he decided to head to the mall for a few potions cabinets. Thank you for checking on them for me. I'm going to head to mall and get some potion cabinets. Do you want anything? No thank you. I'm going to head back to the library. Andromeda really wanted to finish the medical scrolls she had. Okay then I'll be back later. Harry quickly checked to make sure he had his wallet before he left, before deciding to head to the trunk shop he bought the library trunks in. Hello, sir. How can I help you? I need 2 potion cabinets that have permanent stasis charms on them that can be shrunk or portkeyed safely without breakage. It also needs to hold at least 5,000 of each potion and can hold up to 100 potions at least. If possible it would help if it can be linked to another cabinet for easy restock as well. Harry said after some thought. If you can do that I'll take 5 cabinets with 1 master cabinet if possible. Ah so something like a potion master or healer's cabinet. Both come with extension charms, stasis charms and cushioning charms. They have a rune on them to activate feather light and shrinking as well. Let me see if it's possible to link them together as we do it with apartment trunks, but I've never tried with potion cabinets. These are the ones we have in stock so take a look and pick the wood you like and I'll be back in a few minutes. The clerk quickly went to the back of the store before reappearing with an elderly man. We can charm them to link together, but it is costly young sir. The elderly man said in a soft feathery voice. That is okay sir. I can pay, I just didn't know if it could be done. Harry replied to the elderly man. It will take me an hour and I can link up to 13 cabinets to 1 master cabinet. Can you link more to it later if I bring the master cabinet in or is it just once it's made it's set at a certain number? Harry was curious now. I would be able to add more, but I would need every cabinet to link a new one. Oh, in that case please link the maximum possible as I'm sure with the way things are going for me, I'll end up needing them for something. Yes sir, I can do that. What wood would you like? We have all types of wood available. The dark cherry wood please. Okay, do you want the class clear or opaque? Any designs? I think opaque would be best on all of them but the master. I need a few of them to have something written on a few of them in easy to read black lettering. Can you do that? Yes, sir. What would you like? The elder man brought out a notepad writing down everything asked for so far. I need the cabinets to say academy, 3 that say hospital, genin, chunin, jounin, anbu, tea, hokage, research, elves and infirmary. Harry figured if he was going to buy them he may as well use them and this way they could hand them out for missions as they were easy to carry. He quickly checked the elderly man's spelling on a few of them before correcting them quickly. Any security? Yes, I need them all to be fire, water and damage proof. Blood and password lock that can be added to or changed if necessary. Also they need to be unable to be moved except by certain people. He figured that work would best for security since they didn't have magic signatures to go by. Okay, we can do that. Anything else? Do you sell tents? We do, we have models of each on the other side of the store you're welcome to go through or we can customize one for you. We also have a book you can take that shows everything we sell that has all the options for each item if you need to discuss it with other people. Okay, thank you. I'll take the book, but I will also look through the tents you have out now to see what they look like. Yes, sir. I'll get started on this while my clerk shows you the tents. The old man said before he headed towards the back of the store again. This way, sir. Once they got to the tents he noticed all of them looked like normal Muggle tents which he was glad for. He had seen the tents at the World Cup and some of them were completely crazy looking. The single-person tent had a master bedroom with a bath along with 3 smaller bedrooms, an extra bathroom, kitchen and living room. The double-person tent had a similar layout but had extra bedrooms, another bathroom and a study or office, along with a library. The most outrageous they had was 3 master bedrooms with a bathroom in each, 10 bedrooms, library, office, kitchen and living room. What happens if you pack the tent and somebody is still inside? Harry was curious since Shinobi took escort missions and this would be the perfect place to hide someone. Nothing, they just can't leave until the tent is set back up or they pour key, fleur apparate out. The clerk said with a chuckle. My brother did that to my sister once and other than being annoyed she was fine and she was inside for 3 days before she decided to flew out. Ah, I bet that got him in trouble. Harry said with a laugh thinking of what the twins would have tried. Oh yeah, the neighbors down the street could hear my mother yell. He said with a laugh. What else comes with them? Any charms or? Well, the refrigerator has stasis charms on it so nothing expires while it's inside. All bedrooms have a silencing charm, same with the bathrooms and office. The hot water never runs out and they come furnished like you see in each one. We can expand the rooms or add any room to any size tent but the larger the outside the larger we can make the inside. No noise or smell will be detected from outside the tent and you can activate security as well to make it so it either can't be moved or put away while it's set up. You can also lock the entrance so once everyone is inside nobody else can enter. It can be blood or password locked as well as the door made transparent so you can make sure there are no muggles nearby. Those are the most popular additions we have at least. Okay, can I have 6 of your single-person tents with all the security features, with each having 5 master bedrooms instead of the smaller bedrooms? Each bedroom should have a queen bed, a small dresser, closet and a desk with a nice chair. The living room should have 2 comfortable couches with pull-out beds and 2 chairs that recline. A spare bathroom. A kitchen table that will seat 8 and a study. Is that possible? Harry decided to get a few tents to take as well since if you can put people in them, then it would defiantly make escort missions easier. Even missions in general easier with tents like these. Yes, sir. We can do that. Do you want the kitchen stocked with food as well or do you want to do that yourself? Is it self-refilling? The Weasleys was but he didn't know if that was normal. Yes, sir. Anything placed inside the pantry or refrigerator will refill on its own unless given a command to stop. How does that work? Does it take from the nearest store or is it conjured? It's actually a really tricky piece of magic. It takes a part of the original food or drink placed inside and basically regrows it so quickly you don't notice. It has all the same nutrients and flavor as the original food placed inside it and because of the stasis charm it doesn't go bad. Ah okay, so if I put a cake in the refrigerator, it would keep making the cake until I said to stop. Yes, sir. Okay, I think I'll let the users stock them with what they would like to eat. Is it possible to link these to a master tent like the cabinets? Enter one and leave the other no matter the distance. I think so, I would have to ask. The clerk said after checking his book quickly. Okay, let's do that and see what he says. Yes sir, I'll be right back. The elderly man walked back into the main room again before looking over what Harry was requesting. We can do that. I would install portals that they typically use in America in an empty doorway or closet. With the tents it's a little different as I can link up to 50 tents to one master tent. We have some summer camps that use them so it's a popular item at times. Oh, okay. How much would they be for all 50 like I described? That would make it even easier. The tents would be 1,500 each, and the master depends on how you want it made, but generally 3,000, so close to 78,000. The cabinets you requested will be 7,280. The old man informed him. Okay, can I change the cabinet that says research to command please? I can do that. Okay, I'll take the tents, and I think I'd like the master tent to have a large hospital room with beds for 50, 3 different offices and a large kitchen, with a few 10-seater tables, and a big living room, with enough seating for 20 people, along with bathrooms for each gender, with 12 stalls each, along with showers. Okay. Each tent will be labeled with a number, and there will be a long hallway with doors on each side with the corresponding number. The one thing these tents can also do is vibrate if someone is trying to come through from the master tent. So if you're in the mountains and if someone is trying to warn you a storm is coming, it will vibrate until you set the tent up to get the message. Then you add a rune to auto set them up once you add blood to it. My aunt who raised me is a muggle and will be using one so cannot set up with magic. Yes, I can do that. Blood activated setup on each one will cost 5,000 more. That's fine. Can you also make it so they can be recalled if lost or stolen please? Yes sir, that will be 5,000 extra. Okay, add it please. Okay, so I'll go over your whole order quickly so we know it's correct. We have 13 potion cabinets linked to a master made with dark cherry wood with featherlight and shrinking runes with stationary charms so they won't be moved. Unbreakable, fire and water charms to prevent damage. Each cabinet will have stasis, cushioning and extendable charms on the inside. Each is blood and password locked. Cherry wood with opaque glass with Academy, Genin, Chunin, Jounin, Anbu, Command, T, Elves, Infirmary and 3 Hospital, written in easy-to-read black lettering. 50 single-person tents each with 5 master bedrooms with bathrooms, kitchen, living room, study and extra bathroom. Each bedroom with a queen bed, dresser, closet, desk with a chair. Living room with 2 pull-out couches and 2 recliners. The living room also comes with a linen cabinet with extra towels and blankets. Kitchen has a table that seats 8 and you will fill the refrigerator yourself. Full security as well as fire, water and damage resistant. The master tent has a large infirmary that will treat 50, 3 offices, a large kitchen that has 4 tables that seat 10 with a living room that seats 20. Bathroom with showers for each gender. Full security as well as fire, water and damage resistant as well. Is that correct sir? Barry quickly went over everything in his head and that sounded correct to him. He couldn't think of anything else at this point at least. Yes sir, it sounds correct to me. Is it possible to get it all before 7 p.m. tonight? I will pay for a rush order if necessary. If you're willing to pay an extra 10,000 I can have it done in 2 hours. I just need to call in some extra workers. Okay. Now what coloring would you like for the tents? Green or brown please. Something that will blend in well with the forest. Okay, we can put a kind of notice me not charm on them as well to help hide them better for an extra 50 each. Add that please. Okay, now the inside. Dark brown carpet and living room furniture. Cherry wood for the wood type. Walls painted white with 1 accent wall in either blue, red, purple, maroon, brown, yellow or any other color you think will look good. Do the same in the bedrooms and just match the bedding to the wall. Bathrooms as well. The study I would like a large desk with 3 chairs in front of it. Just make sure they are all comfortable. I'm not picky on colors as long as they aren't really bright. Barry wasn't a decorator so hopefully they weren't too tacky. Is it possible to have everything self-clean as well? Yes sir, 50 each on that as well. The charm will get rid of any dirt, dust, grass, blood and any food or drink spilled. It will also clean and repair anything put in the laundry basket and vanish the trash after 24 hours. Dishes or anything else left in the sink will wash and sterilize after 2 hours. Perfect. Okay, the security will have a panel next to the door to lock everything down. Each tent will come with a manual that translates to any language needed. I can give you spares as well if necessary. 100 for 2. I think 500 spares should be good. Harry knew he could copy them, but it was less work for him right now. Okay, and my assistant said you were going to stock everything yourself. Yes, sir. Any food or toiletries will be provided by the person using it at first. Do you want me to provide toilet paper, dishes and cookware? Yes, please. Okay, let me get this all totaled up so just follow me over to the register. Your total comes to 110,390 for the tents and potion cabinets. The old man was curious if he could pay as it was about of money. Yes, sir. Harry pulled out his Potter Gringotts card and quickly paid before putting it away. Okay, if you will come by at noon everything should be ready for you. Thank you, sir. I'll be back soon then. Harry said as he took his receipt before leaving the store. He decided he would go look around the other stores and see if he could find anything else that might be useful for the shinobi. He found a store that sold camping gear that he looked around and finding they sold canteens that could hold 50 gallons of water and sterilized and cleaned any water put inside and meal bars that tasted like your favorite food that contained a day's nutrients and would actually fill your stomach all day but could be eaten indefinitely 3 times a day unless you're very active, then 2 for each meal could be eaten. He bought 2,000 of the canteens as he assumed they had something like that, but it wouldn't to place them in the tents, and 60 boxes of the meal bars with 50 in each box. He quickly took them back to the trunk store and asked the clerk to place 1 box of the meal bars in each cabinet in the tents before shopping more. He found a potion supply store, so he bought more potion kits for each level, as they were cheaper here than Diagon Alley and better quality as well. Creature. Yes, Master Harry. Take these to the potions lab, please. Harry said, pointing to all the potion supplies. Yes, Master Harry. Creature quickly popped in and out a few times before they were all gone. Creature, take these and place them in my room, please. Harry handed him the extra meal bars and the box with the canteens. Yes, Master Harry. Harry started looking for a store that sold bottomless backpacks soon after, as he hadn't seen any in the trunk store and found them in the camping store. Excuse me? What kind of pack would you recommend for camping? I bought a tent at the store down the way, but I don't know what kind of bag would be best. I would say this one, sir. I saw you bought the canteens earlier, and these have a pouch special for them, as well as straps that will secure your tent to the bottom of it. It also has 3 bottomless compartments, one that will hold clothes, one for food, and one for medical or potions. You need to be magical to use them. My aunt raised me and will be camping with us, but I don't know what exactly takes active magic to use or what is in the item. No sir, the magic for these is in the bag, same as the canteens and meal bars. Okay, thank you. May I have 50 of these, please? Fire, water and damage resistant as well. What kind of material? Leather, dragon hide or cloth? The clerk asked. I think a durable cloth, please, in brown, blue and dark green. Harry figured he would stick to those colors since that seemed to be the most common colors in the history texts. I also need just a general bottomless backpack for shopping right now. The general backpacks are right here. Take your pick and meet me at the register. I'll get everything totaled up for you. It will take an hour for the rest of your order though. Okay. Harry quickly grabbed a black leather bag before following the clerk to the register. Okay, it will be 505 total. Each specialty bag is 10 and the general bag is 5. Harry quickly paid with his Gringotts card before confirming the hour wait time with the clerk before leaving to look at the other stores. The next store Harry saw was a store that sold pensives along with other odds and ends. Pensives were supposed to be rare, but he had a feeling that was just in Diagon Alley. They had personal as well as solicitor pensives that verified the memory and let you enter or project the memory, and what looked like teaching pensives that projected the memories and let you turn the image as well as pause and rewind so you could see it from all angles. Excuse me, the teaching pensives, can you enter the memory with those as well like a normal pensive, and does it verify the memory? Harry asked a bored-looking clerk. Yes, the teaching pensive does just about everything the others do. The only thing is only 7 can enter at once. You have to be magical to see or enter the memory. Nope. My mum uses one and she's a muggle, I just have to extract the memory for her. Okay, can I have 2 please? Are you sure, mate? They are 3,350 each. Yes, I'm sure. I might be back to place an order for more. Okay, that would be 6,700. Can they be shrunk? No, it will mess with the runes and charms on them. Best to just carry them or place them in a box and levitate them. Okay, thank you. I'll have my elf come for them then. Creature. Yes, Master Harry. Will you put these in my room, please? Harry said, pointing to the pensives next to the clerk on the counter. Yes, Master Harry. Creature eyes widened since he thought those were rare, but he just decided to do as he was asked. He was just happy to be working. Thank you. Harry told the elf as he placed a hand on each pensive before popping away. He nodded to the store clerk before leaving. He still had another hour and a half to go, so he went and got an early lunch before spotting a store he hadn't seen the last time he was here, so he decided to go take a look and was intrigued by what he saw. Most of them just looked like pendants or charm bracelets, that was normal it seemed like, but each pendant and charm had different functions. Camouflage, a localized silencing charm, a scent erasing charm, beauty charms. Harry decided to grab a catalog before leaving. He knew those would be helpful, but he also knew that if they used those then they wouldn't be as careful and he didn't want that. Since it had been an hour, Harry headed back to the shop he purchased the backpacks at to pick those up, calling Creature to take them home after grabbing on to keep with him to take to the trunk shop. He had an idea but was curious if it was possible. With a little less than an hour left to go, Harry went back to the camping store to take a better look around since it was a large store, curious if he could find anything else useful. What if Naruto guards fleur chunin exams end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.